What is going on, guys? Thank you so very much for joining us right here on Wednesday night. It is TNT episode 115 for your Wednesday, October 8th, 2025. I'm your host, JD from New York. As always, coming to you live tonight with my guy, birthday boy. Happy belated birthday to the one and only Solomon. So what's going on, brother?
Thank you, man. Welcome to WNT, everybody.
Yes, WNT. Yes.
WNT. Just 1 week. We're not changing the logo. We're not changing the show.
No, I feel like Collision over here, bro. We're always preempted.
We may do better than Collision. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how this night goes.
He said it. I didn't say it. So there you go. You can blame him. How you doing, man? What'd you do? What'd you do for your birthday? What'd you do to celebrate?
Not a whole lot. I mean, obviously that night we had Monday Night Raw, so I was working that night. But
God's greatest gift, right? Boring pro wrestling.
Actually, Raw this week was better than it's been in many weeks.
It has been.
All I prayed for is that they would give me a good show, and they actually did on Monday. But no, just went out to dinner. Actually, it's funny. My brother got me, and I didn't even know they made this. Maybe you did. They have a Lego set, a Game Boy Lego set. Have you seen this,
bro? It's currently sitting on my kitchen table.
It's sitting on the table in the other room. I have no idea when I'll have time to actually start working on it, but it looks very interesting.
And it looks great. It looks great. By the way, do you know they also have a Sega Genesis controller Lego?
No, I did not.
Yes.
Although I did see that they have a Mario and Yoshi, like a giant sprite. Like you would see like in the video game, but it looks gigantic.
Yeah.
That looks pretty cool. I think it's double the price of the Game Boy one. But apparently there are people who are actually modding the Game Boy Lego, and they're turning it into a workable actual Game Boy.
That I didn't know. I know it comes with 2 cartridges, Super Mario World, and I think Zelda's one of them. But no, I didn't know that.
Yes. There's people online who are far smarter than us who are actually whatever it is that they're doing, they're getting the parts they need, and they're turning it in with an actual screen, and they're turning it into a workable Game Boy.
That's
but
crazy.
in Lego form.
That's crazy. I wish I thought a workable Game Boy, man. Those were the days, weren't they?
Well, I have a retro handheld. There's a whole market for these things, so you should look into that. There's a whole bunch of them. It's not Game Boy, but you can play Game Boy games on there, and they're pretty cool. So I would look into it if I were you. But yeah, so I'm looking forward to diving into that. I haven't done one of these since probably the pandemic. And I wasn't going live on Mondays at that point, so I had time. I would actually have Raw on it at like its background noise while I was working on this Sonic Lego.
Yeah, set. I remember. Yeah,
and it was a lot of fun. I had no reason to. I hadn't Legos since I was a fucking kid, but it looked interesting. I got it as a gift, and it was like, you know what, this is kind of good. I did get a little annoyed. Some pieces weren't going where I wanted them to go. I almost broke the whole thing, but when it was over, you get this feeling of like accomplishment, like you've actually done something, and it looks pretty cool.
It does.
So I'm looking forward to diving into this one. Hopefully in 2026, maybe I'll dive.
Yeah, that one just came out. I'm a frequent visitor to their website because I am the master of buying Legos and just putting them down in the basement and just collecting them in the boxes and not even building them. So if you're over the house next time, I got to show you what I got. I got Optimus Prime. I got Soundwave. I just bought Soundwave. I loved my Transformers. I bought the old school Batmobile, the Adam West Batmobile.
Wow.
They got. I still have the Jerry Seinfeld set that they don't even sell anymore. I haven't even touched that yet. I got the current day Batmobile, and I'm looking at something just for a gift to myself for Christmas. I wanted to get, and they don't sell it no more. The Ghostbusters vehicle, the Ecto one.
Yes.
Yeah. So.
But these Lego sets, I mean, they're so expensive to just buy them and have them sit in the box would drive me nuts.
I don't have no place to put them. That's why they're sitting in the box. They're
very costly.
They are. It's ridiculous what they go for now. Optimus was like $180.
Yeah, I feel like the market is very different than when we were kids. I don't even know if the market really is kids anymore. I feel like it's schmucks like you and me. Just looking to part with their money.
We'll get them on nostalgia, pal.
Hey, you know what? It must be working. I mean, it looks like half the shit on their site is on back order.
Yeah, it's crazy. The Sega Genesis one was a special gift when I got what did I order last? The Batmobile one, I think. So I got that as a special gift. But even that is a special gift is sold out, and I think it goes for like $20. People are like reselling it on eBay for like $120.
Oh, I believe it. Yeah.
It's like you can't win with these fucking people, man. The scalpers are crazy.
Yep.
But we thank you guys for joining us here, man. It's been quite the ride so far. Towards the tail end of September into the early weeks of October here, man. It's just very lethargic. It's very apathetic is a great word to use. A lot of pro wrestling right now seems just very down. It's ice cold creatively. There's not a lot of interest. So
let me ask you this. What I'm gathering, what I'm hearing from you is that you are asking for the final boss to make his return and save wrestling again. Do we need the final boss? Has it come to that we actually need the final boss to come back?
Well, I mean, after
we told him to stay away, we want him back.
After what his smashing machine did at the box office, he may be back sooner rather than later. We don't even know. He may
be back this weekend.
I don't know, man. Listen, that was a time where everybody was very joyful, and we got some excellent television then. But I don't know. I'm not ready to welcome The Rock back yet, but if he does show up, I think I may have to apologize for what we said recently about Dwayne. But it's bad. Raw was a great show this week. Dynamite, I didn't really care for. I know we had the NXT TNA Showdown last night, which from what I saw on social media, the reception to that was pretty much positive. And there's not a lot of news. We got Crown Jewel this weekend. We're going to go over a little bit of everything here on this Wednesday night. And we are very grateful that you guys are with us here on this Wednesday night. Hopefully the preemptions will start to slow down. I know it's all over the place. Last week we're Thursday. This week we're Wednesday. So hopefully we're back to Tuesday and stay consistently on Tuesday till the end of the year. But thank you guys very much for all of your support. Super chats, I see them coming on in. Make sure you guys get them on in, and we'll hang out at the end of the show. It's the best way to support what Jason and I do here on TNT. Make sure you guys hit that subscribe button down on this channel if you guys want to go follow Jason on Twitter and on YouTube. Everything you need for him is linked down below in the description. I will be attending Comic-Con tomorrow on Thursday, so if I see you guys there, if any of you are attending, hopefully in the mass sea of people, I will see one or two of you, but there'll be content up, so I don't want to let the day go by. So there'll definitely be content up for you guys tomorrow over here. And please hit that thumbs up. Make sure we get that in. Leave a comment as well down below. All helps us out in the algorithm. 1,000 likes is the goal. I know that seems like a fucking stretch nowadays, but let's try for 1,000 likes today on episode 115 of TNT. All right, brother. Lead us. Where are we going?
Well, I know there was some news on this today. This has been, I mean, by default, the biggest story of the week, I suppose. So why don't we talk about our friend Santos Escobar? And I know there's some people who are confused and may not be aware of the latest update on that story.
Yes, I am very thankful, and I was telling Jason this before we actually went live, that I did not make a video on this because they almost sucked me in with Dave Meltzer basically saying that he believes Santos Escobar is going to AEW, which I thought would have been a tragic mistake because, as you see with Andrade, he joined the Don Callis family and all 67 of them, and then he wasn't even on TV last night. So we didn't want that for our buddy Santos Escobar, but apparently there was a report that went out earlier this week that Santos' contract was going to run out, and he was not going to sign a new deal with the WWE, and as the clock struck midnight, I believe it was on Monday, he was a free man. So theoretically, he could have showed up on Title Tuesday for Dynamite if he wanted to join the company. So we found out that it was a very generous offer from TKO and WWE, and they wanted to retain his services. And he didn't take the offer and he didn't sign the contract, Jason, because it wasn't about money with him. And this is what I respect about it. It was all about creative. Now, if you look at what Santos Escobar has done this year, he's basically done little to nothing. I think he's wrestled a total of 5 matches this year in 2025, and they really haven't done much of anything with Legado del Fantasma. In fact, they pulled him from the group, and now all we know is Los Garza is on TV without, Santos at the helm there. So they're not even going by Legado del Fantasma. They're going by Los Garza. And they didn't really do much with him at all as the leader of that group, which started off so promising because their whole deal was they want to recreate the image of Lucha Libre to what they want it to be. And I thought there was going to be this great deal with Rey Mysterio, and it never really materialized into anything, and he just kind of fell flat creatively. They didn't really push him. He never really ascended past that United States Championship picture. And I can't really.
You just reminded me. Like I can remember when he was initially called up from NXT.
Yes.
One of my great hopes was that, man, they could build to a WrestleMania match between
Yes.
Rey Mysterio and Santos Escobar.
Nothing.
It's like so far ancient history. I forgot all about that.
Nothing.
How
I mean,
excited I was.
Yeah, none of that ever happened. I mean, I even thought back in the day that Dominic would. Yeah, I think at that point Santos was holding the Cruiserweight Championship down on NXT. I thought Dominic would go down to NXT and maybe start the feud there with Legado and Santos, and then he get called up and start the feud with Rey Mysterio. It would be like a family tradition type of deal. None of that never really amounted to anything. And the fans, every time he came out, I know you watch the shows weekly, you cover the shows weekly. I know you could attest to this. The crowds never really gravitated anything to Santos. I mean, it was just fucking dead quiet when he came out. There was no reaction. There was no real interest in seeing him. And I don't know how much of that falls in his lap, but creative didn't really do him any favors. So with all that said, he walks away. Today we come to find out that he took the offer, and apparently WWE is going to promise him better creative than what they were giving him for this first go around. And this came from many sources, PW Insider, Fightful Select, and I know Dave Meltzer talked about it. So they said today, in a surprising turn of events, Santos Escobar re-signed with the WWE in a new deal just days after his previous contract expired. The report states that management took Escobar's creative concerns into consideration and made Escobar a sizable, larger offer than any of their previous overtures. And at that point, Escobar agreed to new terms, with the belief being that the agreement was reached late yesterday. There is currently no word on when he will return to WWE programming. Now, I posted a picture on Twitter today, and I joked. The joke went over people's heads. People were legitimately taking it to be serious. He looked at the Don Callis family, Jason, last night on Dynamite Title Tuesday with that wide-angle shot where they had to fit all fucking 12 of them into the frame. And he looked at that and said, you know what? I'm going to call Paul up. I want to come back. I don't give a shit what they give me. Let's get the deal done. I don't know if he would have amounted to anything in AEW if he realistically went there. LFI was an option. I seen Roosh kind of teasing that LFI is going to be more dangerous or whatever he said on social media. And Santos is now back with WWE. I'm glad that he's back because I think there's a lot of untapped potential there, and I'm a big fan of his. I think he's a great in-ring worker. I think he's got a very solid promo. I think he's got a great presence about him. I don't know how they can't use him in a meaningful way, but I don't trust them to do anything with Santos Escobar, and I feel like they gave him a late offer with a more money involved and quote-unquote better creative because of the reports that Dave Meltzer put out, and I believe a couple other people, that he was going to end up in AEW. And I do think that they basically brought him back because they didn't want him to end up over there. And I don't really trust them to push him at a meaningful level in WWE. I don't know how you feel about it, but that's the way I feel about it.
Well, I mean, obviously they wanted to retain his services for some reason. I don't know if it was a case of, oh my God, he's going to go to AEW, because they had to know that if he wasn't going to re-sign, there was a very high likelihood that's where he would have ended up. And let's be honest, you know, like you said, we haven't seen much of him on TV. It's not like their show is going to be, you know, different in any meaningful way if he leaves, because he hasn't been around to begin with. He is very talented. I do think there's things you could do with him. You know, again, from what I can gather, it wasn't a case of him saying, hey, I want you to promise me a big push. It just sounds like he was looking for some clarity on, look, if you want to re-sign me, I need to know that I'm not just going to waste away in the back. I need to know I'm not just going to be another guy who, you know, was on the show not doing anything of any importance. Just give me a sense of, okay, we will come up with something meaningful for you, or we have something in mind for you. And that probably is what, you know, put his mind at ease. And it's smart, but also I think it sends a message to the other talent where, you know, when their contract comes up, maybe don't, you know, be so quick to leap at whatever contract offer they send to you. You know, now it's a risk because I'm sure he didn't know that they were going to come back at him with such, you know, a better offer. And that's not going to necessarily be the case for everybody, but it comes down to knowing what your worth is, you know, and if he felt like, you know what, this is not going to make me happy. This is not going to have me fulfilled. You could offer me more money. That's great. I'm sure he was already making very good money to begin with. But you can make $1 million a year. You know, you're traveling all over the country. You're traveling all over the world. Nobody wants to do that and just sit on the bench. You know what I mean? You want it. It's like a player on a baseball team. It's great that you could be on, the team that you grew up watching, and you can call yourself a baseball player. But what do you want to do? You want to come to the plate and hit. You know what I mean? Or pitch or whatever it is. You don't want to sit on the bench and be a bench warmer and watch other people doing what you want to be doing. So good for him. It's a credit to him that he stood his ground, and it sounds like he got a better offer. I assume he didn't get any specifics in writing as far as specifically what they are going to do with him. So if it was all a verbal commitment, I can only hope that WWE holds up their end of the bargain, and they come up with something a little more meaningful for him to do on the show. And as lame as some of these television shows have been, they could certainly use somebody like him. It's just a matter of pairing him off with the right person, whoever that opponent is going to be, and just do stuff with him. He actually is a very good promo. We see a lot of these, luchadors coming in, and it's not necessarily the strongest tool in their toolbox, because it could be a struggle for some of them to go out there and cut promos in the way the WWE wants them to. When they signed him, that was the thing. Like, when he was King Cuernos, when I first started watching him in Lucha Underground, I don't even think I was aware that he was that great of a promo. I don't recall him doing that many of them. Maybe I'm just misremembering. But once I, realized that he, was comfortable in that role and he could, go out there and cut a promo, I'm like, well, that's what WWE loves. This guy would be a great fit. And we always hear these stories about, they're looking for the next Latin star. I feel like we've been hearing this for like the last 15 years. They're looking for the next Rey Mysterio, right? We heard that with Alberto and all these different people. There's never going to be another Rey Mysterio. But he could be something, someone that they could use this AAA relationship, get him involved there. Dom's involved, right? Look what's done for him. So you can't tell me that there aren't things they can't be doing with him. It's up to Triple H and Road Dogg and whoever else is in charge to come up with that stuff to deliver on that. But good for him. It sounds like he got himself a much better offer.
Yeah, I'm glad that he's back. I'm glad that he's not jumping ship to the other show. But I mentioned Rey Mysterio and the hopeful story that they would tell there with Santos and Rey Mysterio way back when. And I know AAA, who knows what Andrade wanted. Maybe he didn't want that. I felt like that could have been something that he could have explored as well if he wasn't being used on the main roster in the way that he wanted. But I guess he didn't really want that for himself. And he got himself in trouble in more ways than one. But Santos, I feel, now that Ray's involved with AAA in some soft capacity, Dominic is the AAA Mega Champion. You look at their creative team. Undertaker apparently is there as an advisor, and Conan and whoever else is a part of that creative team. I don't know what they have penciled in for the top program for the AAA Mega Championship on AAA when they do these Worlds Collide shows. But Dominic, I think, is going to get involved with his father, and I kind of foresee Rey Mysterio versus Dominic Mysterio headlining the next World Collide show around Survivor Series weekend. I could be off on that, but that's the feeling that I get there.
Yeah, well, they have this show coming up in a few weeks. Is it the Hero Immortale show? Dom is defending against Dragon Lee. I think that's on the 25th or the 26th. I don't know if they're planning on doing a title change there, because I kind of felt the same way. They've dropped little hints of it. He forced his father to put the belt around his waist the last time we saw them in the ring together. So my gut tells me he's not dropping the mega title to Dragon Lee. That would be a direction. You do something with Dom and Ray. But I'm looking more long term. If you wanted to get him involved on the AAA end and have him split his time even between AAA and WWE, because I don't want them to just ship him off there. No. Like, all right, we'll just send him over there because we don't really want to use him over here. But just get him more visibility across both brands, and I think that he would thrive.
Yeah, I mean, especially if Rey Mysterio wins that AAA Mega Championship, a program between him and Santos, and then do what they did or should have did with the whole Lucha Libre and recreating Lucha Libre in his image with Rey Mysterio, past versus present. I mean, that would be fucking great. I don't know what else they have at the top of the card that they're going to generate interest with. I mean, it looks like they're running through everything pretty quickly. Vikingo is, I mean, I don't want to see that again at the top of the card. We've seen that with Dominic already. He's wrestling Dragon Lee. You said, I didn't even know that. That's not going to generate any buzz over there. So if we do a Rey Mysterio Santos Escobar thing, I think that could really be some big business down there, especially if he wants to don the mask again, you know?
Yeah, I don't know if they want him doing that, though. I mean, he could, I guess, but mask or no mask, I mean, you could definitely, use him in that role. But again, the key would be, that's fine, but the key would be also come up with something for him to do on SmackDown or Raw or wherever you put him. But, what they were doing with Legado del Fantasma, it was very similar, only minus Elektra Lopez because they let her go. But it was very similar to what they were doing in NXT. And that was fine. It was a fine, mid-card faction. But I would imagine that he's looking for something a little bit more. It was just very surface level stuff. They started doing the stuff with Humberto, and he looked like he was going to break away from them. I don't know if there was a long-term plan, before Escobar disappeared from TV or not. It wasn't exactly lighting the world on fire. So I would hope that, they could come up with something a little bit more meaningful for him to do. His talent is not in doubt. We know what he could do in the ring. So it's just a matter of coming up with a story that suits him. But, look, if he had gone to AEW, my guess is he would have ended up on Collision. He would have fit in well with a lot of the talents they have there. He could have great matches. But do you honestly think that there would have been a meaningful story there for him? It sounds like something that's very important to him. That tells me that he probably would have ended up being very unhappy in that situation.
Yes. Yeah, I'm glad it ended up working out the way that it did today. And Santos is officially back. Like the report says, we don't know when we'll see him back on television, but hopefully it is in a meaningful way. Now, we talk about the SmackDown creative. There was actually a piece of news today that I don't know how much of a role he's going to continue to have, but Bodyslam.net is reporting that WWE is undergoing creative changes to their team on SmackDown to improve the overall product. Now, this is 9 months too late here because the show's been largely awful for most of the year.
Yeah, I have to cut you off. I loved reading this today. This was great. So the report mentions that they seemingly recognize that the show is not that good. And so they want to make the show more fun. I mean, just what's written in the report says it all. They want to make the show more fun. The implication is that the show right now is not fun, which is true. It's not. But I love the idea that instead of kind of replacing the lead visionary that they have in place right now on the SmackDown side, which evidently is Road Dogg, even though we know everything runs through Paul Levesque. But Road Dogg, I guess, is the senior writer or the head writer on SmackDown. They're simply going to have other people, are going to surround him with some new people to try to breathe new life and fun into SmackDown, as opposed to just replacing the person who has been overseeing SmackDown with some fresh person or a fresh group of people. We'll just surround Road Dogg with some new people that can help him along in this role. Just the way it was worded, I laughed when I read the report. Well, I don't know. I mean, am I reading it wrong? Do you think this is the right approach here, or do we need just clean slate, get somebody fresh out? I mean, Road Dogg was the head writer many years ago. This is not like it's his first time in this spot.
Yes, but he was working alongside Ryan Ward, who wrote for Black and Gold. So, like, he had a nice backbone there.
Okay, but how much? Okay, sure, but how much of that was Ryan Ward and how much of that was Road Dogg? These are the questions that we'll never know the answer to because we're not in the writer's room.
Bro, I think we know the answer to that question. Just
I think we do
at his
too,
work
but
on Friday night.
I think we do too, but I'm trying to be diplomatic about this because we're not in the room with them as far as, like some of the best ideas. Who exactly did it come from? I don't know, but I don't know, man. It's like, I hope it works out because I have to watch SmackDown every single week, right? We both watch SmackDown every Friday. I take no pleasure when I tune into the show and 2 hours of my life go by and I feel like, man, if I didn't spend my 2 hours watching this show, I would feel like I didn't miss anything. It just feels like a completely empty experience on most weeks when I tune into that show. I want the show to be better. I want it to improve. So I don't know who they're going to surround him with, but I hope it works out. The best takeaway from that story is that there seems to be a recognition that there need to be changes. Like they're not just being comfortable like, oh, no, everything's great. They recognize, no, things are not great. And I know you're going to talk about the Neilson stuff in a bit, but at least they recognize we have to try something. That's a plus.
Well, look at it this way, bro. If there's a stream that you could miss and not miss much of anything, it's Friday, and then you could take that much-needed vacation.
Yeah, but you know what? That's true. But I still want the show to be better.
I know.
Because, there's some key storylines that run through that show. And, these big PLE matches with Cody and the WWE Championship, and they got Julia with the US title, and she's fucking drowning on that show. So for their sake as well, I need the show to be better. You're right. And I certainly could use a vacation, but I do want the show to be better because I feel like the talent that they do have, and they definitely need some sort of, the imbalance between the rosters is very noticeable. But the talent they do have on the show, they're not doing the talent any favors. Even Cody. Cody feels so bland right now. All the champions on SmackDown, Cody, Tiffany, Julia, the Wyatts. There's nothing there.
I know.
There's
some great talent there. It's just there's nothing for them to do.
Look, I'm not shading the talent. I sang Julia's praises even as recently as when she was in NXT, and I had high hopes for her. But I just realized, like, every champion on that show, it's just a complete fucking bore right now. At least with Cody, there seems to be a direction. Maybe him and Randy, there could be some interesting stuff there. But there's just nothing going on. There's nothing compelling. They don't have that one champion right now that really kind of draws you in. Like, oh, she's wrestling or he's wrestling. Oh, I got to see this. There's none of that on the show. They're doing a disservice to all of these people.
Now, like Jason said, per the report, Road Dogg will continue to be head of creative for SmackDown. But there are going to be additions to the team. And the thought behind these changes is to make the brand more enjoyable moving forward. It's no secret that SmackDown's been struggling, says the report, and it's best if WWE does something now about it before it's too late. Now, I mentioned on Friday, Jason, go ahead.
I have to just correct myself because Keith mentions it. You're absolutely right. One champion I do have to give a shout out for on SmackDown because he's carrying the show all by himself.
Yes.
Is the United States champion, Sami Zayn.
Yes.
Sami Zayn is killing it every single week. That is honestly the one and only thing I can consistently look forward to every Friday and know that it's going to deliver. And I'm going to be very sad when it's over. But yes, you are right. That is the one champion right now who I think is actually benefiting in that role on SmackDown. I cannot say the same for anybody else on that show.
Well, that Sami Zayn hate died pretty quickly, huh? All that indifference.
Yeah, I haven't heard too much of that recently.
No.
It's still there. There's still an undercurrent from people that just don't like him, but it's died down a little bit.
Yeah, he's been the best pro wrestler the last 5 or 6 weeks or so, and he's absolutely carried that show. I said this on Friday, Jason, and I don't know how you feel about it. Like, we have these shows, like, when you watch Raw, you're going to get Raw. You know the talent you're going to get. You're going to get Punk when he wants to show up. A little bit more regular than Roman. Roman's going to show up whenever he shows up. We got Rollins and the Vision, and you got Penta, and you got just talent that is just integrated every single Monday. Judgment Day, you know what you're going to get. On Friday, I said this on my stream, I don't think WWE knows what they want SmackDown to be. And it's not even Friday Night SmackDown with its own unique roster and its own unique stories and its own unique just top of the card, superstars you want to see. SmackDown on Friday now has become like a PBS variety hour. Like, it's a little bit of SmackDown. It's a little bit of Raw. It's a little bit of NXT the last 2 or 3 weeks. And it's like, what do you want the show to be? Now, I don't know if this means we're going to get a Javon Evans call-up in the next 6 months or so. I think that would be a great move for the brand because he's youthful. He's got that type of charisma and youth that is going to gravitate towards a younger fan. Then we saw... who else made their... we're talking about Obafemi. He's another one that would benefit from a move to the main roster because nothing for him to do on NXT. And we get all of these NXT... We had Sol Ruka and Zari on the show as well. That's what I was thinking about. That tag team division with Alexa and Charlotte is absolutely fucking mind-numbingly just... It is so dead.
What division?
Yeah, you're right. I don't even know why I use that terminology. There is no division. But the point I'm trying to make is that there's legitimately... There's no uniqueness to the show, and they're trying to dip into the cookie jar and use a little bit from Raw, a little bit from NXT. I don't know if they plan to make these call-ups, but, we talk about not wanting a draft or a shakeup or whatever the case may be, but they need to give us talent that we want to see every single week. We need to see some top-tier talent at the top of the card. They need to make their mid-card titles feel important. We need to get more Jacob Fatu on the show. We need to fix that women's division. We need to fix that tag team division. The tag team division was basically carrying the show before Sami Zayn was, and that has absolutely died a fucking terrible death. I don't know what happened to the tag team division. They just completely went out to lunch. I don't know how you feel you need to fix SmackDown, but I don't like the fact that they're not unique anymore in their own show, and I feel like they have to borrow from other shows. What did you think about Friday's show the last 2 weeks?
Well, I mean, I haven't been a huge fan of it. Obviously, there's things on the show that I like, and the key thing is always the Sami Zayn match. I mean, it's been 4 or 5 weeks in a row now, from the John Cena match to the Rey Fenix match. Well, obviously, the Javon Evans match. That was the best one yet. Even the Aleister Black match, I saw some people, kind of crapping on it. Here's what I would say about that. It was the weakest of all the matches so far, and it was still very good.
Really? You thought that was worse than the Carmella match?
Yeah, I like the Carmella match more.
Okay.
And I got to see the full match too, because again, I use the VPN, so I don't have to, after what happened with that John Cena match, I learned my lesson because that match was completely butchered. And the Cena match was still great too, outside of the finish. But outside of that, there's just nothing terribly, memorable about the show. You mentioned the potential call-ups. I talked about Javon Evans, who they clearly, think the world of, and he's very exciting to watch. And the last few weeks, his stock has really risen because he's had some big matches. So I'm not against calling him up in the near future. I feel like he's, if it were me, I would want him in NXT for a little bit longer. He is still very young. And I do feel like he's someone who could end up with the NXT championship. And then you see how he does as the champion leading the brand. Before you really call him up full-time to SmackDown. I wouldn't rush him up. I think these sporadic appearances are fine. Obafemi is ready now, which is another reason why I think you don't have to rush a Javon Evans. Why rush him when you've got Obafemi waiting in the wings? And I think we talked about that last week, and I gave my thoughts on how I would introduce him. Via the U.S. Title Open Challenge. I know some people wanted him to be seen as final opponent or debut him in a world title position. I think that's, ridiculous.
Yeah, what is Javon Evans, 21?
21.
Yeah, way too young.
Yeah, I mean, so again, I'm not against sporadic appearances and reminding people that he's there, but I wouldn't be calling him up full-time right now. There's still work to be done with him, I think, in NXT. Sol Ruca is ready now. You want to call her and Zarya up together, I think that's fine. But that to me is part and parcel of what you need to seriously consider doing very soon as part of an overall shakeup to this show. I do not think they need to do the old draft format. I'm against it because I always found those shows to be boring and repetitive. And the way they did the draft, where 85% of the people stayed on the same brand, it was ridiculous. That doesn't mean that you can't shake things up. You have 2 general managers. So get creative with it. I like the transfer window they had, even though it was ridiculous because it was sort of open-ended for a few months. But they had the transfer portal a year ago. And I've said, why not do that twice a year? Why not have these periods? It could be 2 months. It could be 1 month. It could be however long you want it to be, 6 weeks, where the window is open, which means moves can be made. And you have Adam Pearce, and you have Nick Aldis, and you have Ava, and they could all interact, and you could show them even on some weeks, interacting on TV or on the phone with them, and they're making moves behind the scenes. You don't need to do the old draft format, but you do need to make some switches from Raw to SmackDown and maybe call some people up from NXT. And there's other women, too, in that division that you could call up, even to Raw. Not that Raw needs a lot of help right now, but that is 100% something that they should be doing, and I don't know why we haven't seen it yet, but now is the time to get some fresh faces on these shows.
You mean to tell me it's not meaningful television when they draft Candice LeRae in the 3rd round at the 3rd pick?
Dude, one of my favorite, hilarious moments was years ago on Fox when Natty got drafted and they went to the war room. They had the Fox robot, remember the Fox Sports robot, and they're dancing. Oh my God, this is great. This is ridiculous. This is ridiculous. So they don't know how to do a draft. I would rather not see them do a draft show ever again because they clearly have a certain idea on how to do it, and their idea sucks.
Yes.
There are other ways to do it.
Yes, SmackDown needs a lot of help, and it's been a mixed bag the last few weeks. But, listen, whatever they got to do to get us over the finish line for this year and then maybe start fresh next year going into the Royal Rumble. I don't know, but... that's the deal on Friday Night SmackDown. That's basically all that happened. Sami Zayn's open challenge, and he wrestled Aleister Black, which I thought was a decent TV match.
Got that Fox robot. Look at these people. You forgot, didn't you? I didn't.
Yeah.
I didn't forget.
Didn't they play the fucking NFL theme as well while it was dancing there in the war room?
Oh, they might have. I don't know. But they were going crazy. It was like they were going to go out onto town and go drinking. They were so happy. I'm like, dude, just calm down. You didn't trade for The Rock here.
Some other contract news here reported late today by Sean Ross Sapp over on Fightful Select. Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods have both signed multi-year commitments with the WWE. They will stay with the WWE for the foreseeable future. As you guys know, they are on Monday Night Raw as a part of the New Day with Grayson Waller. They signed because, if anything, we talked about Santos and his creative issues with WWE. If there's anybody that needs to complain about the creative issues in WWE, it's fucking New Day. They had one of the best heel turns in recent memory, just a tremendous heel turn with Big E. And they followed up with it, Jason, to do absolutely nothing, which resulted in them in a dead match at WrestleMania against the War Raiders for the Tag Team Championships, and they have been doing nothing ever since. So if there's anybody that has any grievances about creative, it's these two guys, but apparently they're happy there.
You mean to tell me that Triple H oversaw a heel turn that went nowhere? I don't believe you.
I know, man.
I think you're lying.
He's 0 for 2. He's 0 for 2.
He
I
is
don't
0
know.
for 2.
The only one that he seemingly booked the right way was Gunther.
Yeah, Gunther's always been a heel.
I know.
I'm talking about a heel turn.
I don't know. I guess he's not really good with the initial turn and then the direction after the turn. I don't know.
And I got to be fair about this. And I am sure that, yes, Triple H was going to do a better job than Vince McMahon ultimately would have done, I do believe. But to be fair, when Gunther was first called up to the main roster, Vince was still in charge. And when they put the Intercontinental title on him and he beat Ricochet, Vince was in charge. Like, I think literally the first Wall Street Journal story broke like that month or a month later. So he didn't have too much time working for Vince McMahon. But at least to start, it looked like Vince was pretty high on him. So it looked like he was going to be in an okay spot. Do I think Vince would have kept him as strong as Triple H did? Probably not. He might have gotten bored with him after a while. Because that was always my big fear. Like, oh my God, if they call Walter and then they change his name. So it's like, oh, if they call Gunther to the main roster, my God, he'll be dancing like Vladimir Kozlov. So things worked out okay for him. But to be fair, he was doing pretty well even from day one when he first got called up. And with the bloodline stuff too, Triple H inherited the bloodline stuff. That he took it his own way. Where it would have landed with Vince, we'll never know. But again, that started under Vince, and Triple H was able to inherit what ended up being the key storyline that he basically banked his entire, all of his creative goodwill was basically tied into the success of that bloodline story.
Yeah, well, I'm quite the conspiracy theorist. I do think that Vince definitely had a heavy hand in determining the winner of that Roman Cody match at WrestleMania 39. So I think he was very much involved there. What happened after that, obviously, was all Triple H. When Vince was removed, but you are correct there. Do you remember the story? I don't know if where I read it or if you remember seeing it or hearing it. When Gunther got called up to the main roster, do you remember there was a segment with him and R-Truth in the ring where R-Truth dressed up as honest, what was he, Uncle Sam? Or something like that for 4th of July?
Vaguely. I vaguely remember that.
I think there was a report going around that Vince wanted to fire Gunther after that segment.
Wanted to fire him?
Or send him back down to NXT or get rid of him, yeah.
Well, what did he do wrong?
I don't know. You're asking me what Vince McMahon thought he did wrong. I don't fucking know.
I mean, I don't remember that segment being so awful that I would have wanted the guy demoted.
I'm just saying, man. I don't think he would have lasted, honestly. I think Gunther would have been finished.
Look, we're still far better off with the old geezer not running the creative end of things specifically. But nothing would surprise me. Nothing would. Look, there was a report this week. I don't know who he gave the interview to. If you saw this item from Jimmy Jacobs, did you see this interview that he gave?
No.
And I don't know if he was talking about or was asked about what it was like, because he was on the creative team for a while. He was a writer when Vince was still there. And he mentioned that working for Vince, and I'm paraphrasing here, but how stressful it could be because Vince was very stubborn and he was very set in his ways. And so if Vince McMahon told you that, the moon was green, then guess what? The moon is green, and you have to pretend that it's green and accept a reality that may not actually be based in the reality that you and I are in. And I read that and I laughed because you have people now that are like, bring back Vince. We got to get Vince back. And I'm like, this right here was a great example of why we do not need, among many other reasons, why we do not need Vince McMahon back. Because to me, to work in that kind of environment where you have to accept a different reality than everybody else because your boss is so stuck in his ways, that is not someone that you really want to be working for. And that is not someone who should be the head of creative in WWE or any company for that matter. So to the people that say, well, Triple H is boring, we need Vince back. I'm not saying Triple H isn't boring, but no, we do not need Vince back.
Can you imagine Vince is back on television, bro? He gets out of the limo. He's carrying that fucking Caesar-like statue that he was handing out at his birthday party to everybody.
He would create an entire show-long storyline. Dude, he created a storyline out of a fucking egg.
My egg!
Remember the golden egg? They tied it into the Rock's Netflix movie, whatever the hell that was. And he comes out of the limo and he's like, behold the egg. I'm like, what the fuck is this? Like, what?
He even had a segment with Roman Reigns in the egg in the same segment. I don't believe it.
Was Roman in the segment with the egg?
Yes, Roman was in the segment with the egg.
I know Austin Theory was. I don't remember him roping in actual top stars.
Yes, he was sitting at his desk and he told Roman this is worth however $1 billion or whatever it was.
And Roman probably looked at him and went, man, I can't wait for this fucking guy to be out of here.
Hunter in the chat said, yes, JD, WrestleVotes reported that. So I knew I seen it from somewhere.
Was it WrestleVotes or was it WrestleVotes?
I don't know.
You better double check. You better double check.
I don't want to get WrestleVotes. I don't want to be like Dave over there, but...
Well, yeah. Dave, I mean, I could imagine how disappointed he must have been when he found out that Backlash was in fact not going to be at the Tokyo Dome this year.
I know. Well,
remember that whole fiasco?
I know. I mean, listen, that may end up happening years from now. Who knows?
Backlash?
Or WWE in the Tokyo Dome. I don't know.
It's coming to the Tokyo Dome? Come on. Come on now.
Anyway, I wanted to ask you, with the Santos Escobar re-signing and the New Day re-signing now, especially Santos, he was basically out of the company, walked away, and then they brought him back and gave him a better offer with quote unquote better creative. What do you think if you're carrying Cross and Scarlett? Do you hold any ill will or contempt towards WWE? It's got to be unfair to look at that if you're him, no?
Well, I mean, everybody's situation is different. I don't know what they were making financially. I don't know when they had conversations if Cross was looking for certain guarantees or certain ideas for maybe, what they wanted to do with him and they just didn't align with what WWE had in mind. Everyone's situation is different, in the way WWE views them. That situation was just very weird because, we've heard them talk about the work shoot promo with Sam Roberts after WrestleMania.
Yeah.
And it sounds like Triple H was the one who wasn't very happy about that. And I do wonder if that promo really ended up doing more harm than good for him. And I didn't have any issue with it. I remember thinking, man, this is great. We need to see more of this guy. But I could see where maybe Triple H, if he didn't know it was coming and it wasn't cleared with him, could look at that and go, you know what? Whatever plans I may have had for this guy, fuck it. We'll keep him around, but maybe it soured him on Cross. And then you hear about how, when their contracts were coming due and he wanted to know what's going on with Scarlett, we'll deal with her after we deal with you. Like that attitude, it almost sounded like. So I just think it's two different situations. I don't know that he's upset necessarily. I just think, again, everyone's negotiations and everyone's contract and everyone's situation and what they're looking for is different. And I'm sure he's frustrated because I don't think he wanted to leave. I think him and Scarlett have made it pretty clear they would love to go back to WWE. They want that to be their home. And I think they've said if they ever sign another contract, whether it's WWE or even AEW, that's it. Like that's going to be their home base forever. But I know that they didn't want to leave, and they just clearly they felt as if they were not being valued because WWE didn't seem to really make too much of an effort to retain them. And let's be honest here. Look at what they did with him for most of this year, even through the We Want Cross stuff and all that. Like they didn't do much. He had the feud with Sami Zayn, and call it the way it was very underwhelming, but they didn't really take full advantage when I think the people got behind him. And when he was on Chris Van Vliet's show, he actually he was talking about AJ Styles or Uncle Alan, as he calls him. And he was hoping and had the idea that, turn him babyface and have AJ Styles basically say, look, you did things your way. You tried it your way, which is basically, the opposite, because AJ's pure and he's your kind of white meat babyface. And AJ kind of puts his hands on his shoulder and says, why don't you try it my way? Don't you hear these people? You hear them every single week, right? We want Cross. Try it my way. And that could have been the way to turn him babyface. And I think something like that could have worked. But it was obviously something that they weren't interested in exploring.
Yeah. I don't know why they didn't have any interest in him. I hope that he finds himself. And the reason why I mentioned Cross is because he was interviewed by Van Vliet. I got a couple of things here. That's why I brought him up. I hope that he continues that momentum. I know a lot of people that made a big deal about the We Want Cross stuff and the hashtags and the movement. I really haven't seen much of it lately, ever since he became free from WWE. But I know he's wrestling Friday at House of Glory. He's wrestling Matt Cardona, which should be great. Scarlett, she said, like Jason said, if we ever go to AEW, that they'll be flying the AEW flag, and that is going to be our home forever. So Scarlett revealed that they had previously spoken to AEW before their 2022 return to WWE. Around 22, right before we came back, she says there was a conversation about coming in, but the story wasn't, and it didn't really make sense. For Cross, the right creative move is more important for him than a bigger paycheck, a principle that guided his decision to leave WWE. I've always been sold on creative principle versus money. If you put a pile of money in front of me and there's no principles attached to it, I'm telling you straight up, I'm not interested. If I was lying to you about that, I would have just took what they offered me. And while the door to another company is open, Scarlett explained that they will not make the decision lightly, and wherever they land, it will be a long-term commitment. She says the thing about going elsewhere, it's almost like jumping from one long-term relationship into another. If we ever go to AEW, we're going to be flying that flag. That's going to be our home forever. If we go there, we're going to make this company the absolute best. So for now, Cross is enjoying his freedom of being an independent performer, just being able to show up anywhere, at any time, and do anything, and creating an air of unpredictability at these shows, I think also serves something very interesting to the fans as well. I've always got a gist of that. That's what he was about, and it was less about the money. You could basically see where he was coming from in those late days in WWE, and then he went on the podcast tour. You got a sense that it was all about the creative and not about the money. He really wanted to just negotiate the way that they negotiated with him the first time around when they brought him back, because it was almost equal. They brought in Scarlett and made her feel a part of the negotiations instead of where he documented it. They wanted to do business with him, and then maybe we'll do business with her and then bring her in afterwards. It's like, no, man, you're not going to leave my wife out to fucking waste away while you bring me in. We're a team. You get me and you get her. You just don't get me and then leave her outside. No. So if they do go to AEW, Jason, I feel like, with all the discussion that we've talked about with Cross, I feel like the creativity would be there for him. The only thing that's holding me up as a fan of Cross to go see him in AEW is the fact that they have way too many talents that they can't even find TV time for. So I just feel like he's going to get lost in the shuffle. So if he does go over there, do you feel like it's going to be a right move for him now, being that we all are pretty much confirmed that he's not going back to WWE?
Creatively, I said when this whole stuff's really started breaking, I just don't see him being a good fit for AEW. He's going to make the decision that he needs to make financially and what he thinks is good for his career. And I wherever he lands and whatever decision that is, I wish him well, because he is somebody who I find to be he's very likable. He's the kind of person, I think, both of them really, that you want to root for them to succeed. And I think he's also got, he's very smart. He's got a very smart mind when it comes to wrestling. If you listen to him speak, like even that Van Vliet interview, like I could listen to him talk all day.
Yeah.
So I hope it all works out for him. I personally don't think that AEW would be a good fit for him. I don't think he would end up in a position all that much different than the one he was in WWE. I just don't think he fits the mold for what Tony Khan, sees as a star that he would elect to push at a top level in AEW. We know what the emphasis is in that company when it comes to their hyper focus on great in-ring matches and exciting fast-paced matches. Not that they don't tell stories, but it's not necessarily always their number one priority. I don't think he really fits the mold for what they're looking for. And I think he would absolutely be somebody that would end up being relegated to a secondary show, and then people would complain, how come Tony is not doing more with him?
Do you think what she said there about flying the flag, and if they go over there, that's where their home's going to be forever until they retire? Do you think that was basically a smoke signal? Hey, we're out here. Pay us attention.
Yes, I do.
Okay.
And also, nothing in wrestling is forever.
Yeah, I know. Nothing.
And I also should say, because I just saw, apparently Kota Ibushi sustained an injury at the Collision. I guess they're taping it tonight.
They're taping it tonight for Saturday, yeah.
Yeah, so he sustained what might be, I don't know if it's a leg injury, but I saw a quick video of him, I guess once they got him out of the ring, I guess being carted away on a stretcher, so.
You know, who was it? Ali last night, before Ethan Page says that he's cursed. I think Kota Ibushi's fucking cursed.
I think so too, and he came back this time and he looked to be in much better, physical shape than the last time we saw him. And I said, okay, this could be a new start for him. And just from what I'm seeing here, that doesn't look very good.
Well, he joins the bedridden over there in AEW, which is accumulating more and more bodies week by week. I don't know what the hell's going on over there, but that is quite the injured reserve over in AEW.
Yeah. And this was his return because we haven't seen him for a while, and they announced that he was returning against Josh Alexander on the show. So, not great timing on that. Plus, they have Blood and Guts coming up, and we know there's going to be a women's. My guess is they'll probably end up having a men's and a women's since they're building an entire show around it next month. And I was just like in my mind going over if they did a men's, what would the men's Blood and Guts even look like? Take your pick as far as members of the Callis family. I mean, you could fill up 5 teams with just those guys alone. And then on the babyface side, I figured, you would have, maybe Hangman, and there are people like Mark Briscoe you could plug in there, and then Kenny, and then probably bring back Kota Ibushi. Maybe that's why we saw him coming back. And now, who knows?
Do you genuinely feel like the tensions between the babyface and the Don Callis family results in a War Games like situation? I don't really get that sense.
No, but I'm just saying. I mean, we know we're getting a women's for sure because Jamie Hayter already issued the challenge, but they have not explicitly stated on TV. Like even when they were promoting it, I heard Excalibur promoting the show last night. They just said Blood and Guts is coming back. November 12th in Greensboro. And they're at the Greensboro, what used to be the Greensboro Coliseum. I think now it's like the First Horizon Coliseum or whatever the sponsor is. So, but for them, that's a big show. That's not a smaller venue like the ones they've been running. They ran Revolution there last year for Sting's retirement. So my guess is they're going to want that to be a big show. And they'll probably end up giving us a men's Blood and Guts. So if the Callis family is not on the heel side, then who populates the heel side? You've got the Death Riders.
Oh, it could be Team Darby versus the Death Riders, yeah?
Oh, God. The Death Riders?
Listen, bro, I'm right there with you. I don't know what to tell you.
They have enough members. I mean, you got Moxley, you got Claudio, you got Pac, you got...
Maybe that's why they added Danny Garcia in there. I don't know.
Oh, my God. I think you're right.
Who would be on the baby? We'll talk about Dynamite in a little bit. I don't want to jump ahead. But, yeah, I don't really get a sense that we need 2. We've been saying that about the WWE for 2 years now. We don't need 2. As long as one fits the bill for the tensions that are between the baby faces and the heels, that's all you need. Don't fabricate a War Games match just because you need one for the men and one for the women. But, these bosses are going to do what they want to do. But let's get into the Neilson ratings. This seems to be a big topic of discussion here. The ratings have been down across the board as of the last 2 weeks. For both WWE and AEW, AEW accumulated the lowest rating in the history of the show on Wednesday at that normal time slot. I'm not using the excuse of baseball or anything else that took place around the show because that happens every year. Last year, the Dynamite went up against the Mets and the Braves in their respective playoff series. So the baseball doesn't really mean much of anything. SmackDown, they did just a little bit over 1 million viewers. This was the lowest rating. I can't even remember the lowest rating on a Friday night for a normal show. This was fucking deplorable as far as the rating is concerned. Dynamite did 465,000. I think SmackDown did 1.04 or something like that. But the ratings, Jason, apparently Neilson
soon you're going to have people asking for SmackDown. No Millie? No Millie? What happened? No Millie?
Yes. No Millie for SmackDown.
You know, there's a story there, but I mean, I hate to interject here, but there is a story that I think at some point we'll have to talk about, just kind of in the abstract, we'll have to talk about, because I also noticed, and I don't remember they were in Dallas. They were in Dallas on Monday. And I don't remember the exact attendance figures, but some of these recent shows like Raw and SmackDown, they're still putting, 8,000, 9,000, 10,000 people in these buildings.
Yeah, they're not sold out, but they're filling them up pretty decently.
They're filling them up, but WrestleTix will often put like what the attendance was earlier this year, the last time they were in the venue.
Yeah.
And they're down in some of these places by anywhere from 3,000 to 5,000 seats.
Well, last time they were in there was, last year. What do you think the ticket hike is going to be from last year to this year? At least a good 45%, huh?
I'm sure that has a lot to do with it.
Gee, I wonder why nobody's coming out to the shows.
Well, and maybe they don't care. Maybe they're like, okay, yeah, we could accept 4,000 people less because we're still making more money on the tickets now than we did a year ago.
Bro, a standard ticket for the Madison Square Garden show coming up in November for WWE is $300 per standard ticket. Imagine taking a family of 5 to go see Monday Night Raw. Imagine that.
Yeah.
Like a fucking, it's like a car payment.
And there are people that will want to because it's the last time that they'll be able to see John Cena at Madison Square Garden. But, that's why they're charging so much money, because they know people are going to pay for it. And if that means that your family can't go, but somebody else can, then they don't give a shit.
Like you got to forego the month's rent just to go see Monday Night Raw. I'm sorry, honey, I can't pay the rent. I got to pay for $1,800 worth of Monday Night Raw tickets to take us.
Sorry, Timmy, you'll be having toothpaste sandwiches for dinner for the next few weeks.
Yeah, you can't even eat toothpaste sandwiches, man. That's probably more expensive than a bowl of Cheerios. I don't know, man. It's ridiculous out here. But apparently everybody's making a big deal about this. Sap put something out over on Fightful Select. He titled it, "What the Network's Wrestling Companies Think About the Shocking Neilson Numbers," because they have changed the way that they read the ratings. Now, the new system is called Big Data and Plus Panel. Now, whatever that means, I don't really, I mean, Raj Giri's been all over this, and he's been reporting and putting stuff out over on social media.
So my understanding of it, and Brandon Thurston at WrestleNomics does a pretty good job generally when it comes to explaining this stuff. And I think John Pollock also had a video up on it. My understanding is, panel only would be, you have those Nielsen households that have the box and they do the reporting. And then I don't know how, but from that small sample, it could be 5,000 people. They then extrapolate all of this other information and they get the average. Big data is a reference to all of these other devices and platforms that people are using to watch these shows, which you would think, because they're expanding the number of devices that they're monitoring now, that the numbers would go up. But that's the weird thing about the wrestling numbers, is that they're going down.
So does that mean that the streaming services are being accumulated in the overall number here that we're getting every week? I read that Max numbers in regards to AEW are not being reported, which I don't know what to believe.
So that's the thing that's still very confusing, is that Nielsen released, when they put the press release out a while back, announcing that they were revamping their system and this was going to be the new standard of measurement, they did indicate that it would include streaming data, but they didn't specify what that means. So does that mean streaming data from all of the streamers, from Netflix and Amazon and Hulu and HBO Max? They didn't say. And apparently the HBO Max numbers are not included in that. So we don't even know what that means. We don't know what that streaming data is that they're incorporating into these numbers. I can't seem to find a straight answer anywhere to that question. Well,
the people that reported the Max numbers better be hopeful that those numbers never get out. Otherwise, everybody's going to look like a complete idiot. So I hope for their sake that we never know those numbers. But the Nielsen traditional panel of approximately 42,000 households with a much larger data set from 45 million households and 75 million devices. While this is intended to provide a more accurate representation of viewership, it has had a pronounced negative effect on the numbers reported for pro wrestling shows. That's the way the new method combines the data from what we're getting from Nielsen. Now, Sat put this out on Fightful Select. Post Wrestling, he said, had a fantastic look at how a lot of the changes are happening as the move from panel only goes to big data plus panel. Up until October, the viewership numbers provided were only for panel only. The result has been what was expected to be higher viewership across the board actually coming in significantly lower. A number of other shows measured higher, but wrestling was down on these metrics significantly. The changes were a subject of conversation backstage at each major wrestling show based on what we heard, says Fightful, even though the viewership numbers themselves mean less to the talent themselves than ever before. Fightful asked around in the industry about the changes. It was pretty well confirmed that it is being monitored heavily across WWE, AEW, and other companies, though those are the only ones that really need to worry about the ratings for the time being. There was one source in AEW who said Tony Khan is well aware of the changes, how they work, and is adept at what they mean specifically. With the AEW numbers, max streaming is not reported for Collision, Dynamite, and the actual viewership emerging from those is kept very quiet. Now, again, like Jason said, we don't know. I've always said, and I'm going to continue to say, they're kept very quiet because the numbers aren't really all that good. Meanwhile, we get Monday Night Raw ratings and viewership, and we get so-and-so show and movie on all these other platforms. They're quick to release that when the numbers are good. When the numbers are bad, you're never going to hear about them.
Well, I think we've heard Tony Khan say that even he doesn't know those numbers, which I don't believe that.
No, me neither. I mean, BJ Bethel put out 500,000. Meltzer reported it. I don't believe it's anywhere close to 500,000. So if Tony Khan is saying that number is not right and he doesn't know the numbers, how does it make those guys look bad?
No, and there was a couple of people in the chat, wondering if the numbers had come in for last night. A, no, and B, apparently with this new measurement system from now on, because again, everything's so antiquated now, but the ratings used to be a big deal the day after Raw and Nitro. That was like a day of a freaking holiday. Bischoff and Vince, they would look at the numbers and everything. So it's always been that way, that the numbers come out the next day. That is no longer the case with this new system. So apparently there's going to be an extra day of lag that you have to wait. So for the people who actually give a shit about this stuff, when Dynamite, would take place and then you would wait for Thursday, the numbers from now on won't be out until Friday. So just be aware of that.
Well, the only people that care are the people that are going to farm engagement for it and just cause chaos on social media. That's all.
Well, really look, we're talking about it. We're not going to dwell on it, but we're talking about it because right now it is a big story because it is new and people are getting used to it and what this means, because they're so used to things being this way. And now all of a sudden it's this way. It took long enough, for Neilson to be dragged into the 21st century on this. To me, the biggest takeaway is how antiquated those numbers were. If these numbers are now being revised down, it's like the jobs numbers when they come out, right? You hear like a jobs report and then we get the revisions, like the next month, and they always revise it down. So if the numbers now are being revised down, how fucking antiquated and inaccurate were the numbers before? Right? People don't stop and think about that. And we're talking averages here, so nothing is an exact science. But to me, this just exposes how inaccurate and out of date, the Neilson system was. And I don't know why it took them this long, but it took them long enough to, finally be dragged into the modern day where maybe the numbers will be a little more accurate, but how inaccurate were they before?
I don't know, but Fightful did reach out to Warner Brothers and both Warner Brothers and USA, by the way, they'd reached out to. Warner Brothers put out a statement to SAP. Unlike previous Nielsen methods and the changes that we're seeing, not a strong pattern yet of what will achieve growth with this expanded set of data. Have seen some sports go up versus what previous panel data showed and others go down versus what previous panel data showed. Baseball has particularly benefited in a big way. Obviously, the WNBA has benefited in a big way from what I read as well. One notable thing is that this new method adds an extra day of delay to get numbers from Nielsen and essentially kill WWE's previous approach of trying to use the Fast Nationals data to try to bash the competition. Previously, Fast Nationals data was a strong lead indicator of what the final numbers could be for the episodes.
Our friend, Awful Alfred.
Yeah, Cheese Man, yeah.
Cheese Man would have the updates every week somehow. Somehow he was getting the Dynamite Fast Nationals. And,
you have to pay for that information, bro. He was paying for that.
And it was such a weird thing too, because on those odd weeks where Collision, it was the Collision overnight.
Yeah.
On those odd weeks where the Collision number was actually pretty good, we didn't hear from him.
Now, quiet as a mouse, bro. He had no more cheese.
Quiet. It's like radio silence. It's just funny how that worked.
You must
say like a mouse to cheese? Is that what you said?
Yeah. Quiet as a mouse. He had no more cheese. Yeah.
Oh man, he had to go buy some new brie.
Yeah, I know. Well, I don't like brie. I don't like soft cheese.
I don't like cheese at all.
I know you can't have cheese.
I can't, not anymore.
He said. Well, the Warner Brothers said because the new Nielsen methods is essentially a recalculation of overall audience. Fast Nationals data is useless now, as it does not have a strong correlation to what the final numbers may be. Now, USA Network provided the following to SAP. It's something that is being discussed. What does it mean? Is wrestling not as hot as a couple of years ago? That would explain it across the board. Was there some sort of statistical anomaly that overestimated wrestling fans and viewership? All the data we previously would hint at is the opposite, which is why we were always excited to do business with WWE. It's been low cost for returns for decades until recently. It's really early, and I would imagine AEW and Warner Brothers Discovery are still sifting through the information themselves because there's not a lot, or there is a lot, to try to understand and rationalize what they mean now. Now, both USA and Warner Brothers sources said that there has been no discussion of cancellations, with a Warner Brothers source chuckling about the constantly being brought up. We did not hear back about CW representatives or sources regarding NXT, but the general consensus before the change was that the network was pleased with the results they get from NXT on CW. CW was dead set on adding wrestling programming in a year or so prior to landing NXT, and they may actually end up with TNA for all we know. We don't know where that's going to end up. One WWE production source expressed concerns about the numbers and data could be used to negotiate against TNA as they try to land a new TV deal. We reached out to Carlos Silva, says Sap, on that, and he said that such a thing hasn't been brought up to TNA during negotiations yet, and that they have an important call this week to keep wheels on their possible upcoming deal moving in the right direction. Meltzer said that this was bad for pro wrestling. He went on to say it's a disaster for pro wrestling, which he said on The Observer Live, with his primary concern being the long-term narrative these new numbers will create. While nothing in reality, he says, has changed, these numbers are going to be viewed over the long term with the conclusion young people don't watch wrestling, and that's a very bad conclusion when the vast majority of revenue comes from television. He said sports are up, wrestling is down a lot, and I haven't seen anything else down a lot at the level of wrestling right now. We don't know why yet. I'm absolutely certain we will know why because, quite frankly, everyone in both companies is trying to figure out the why. What does this mean for advertisers, Jason? If the wrestling ratings are what they are now and they stay at this new normal, WWE is set because the Raw's on Netflix. I mean, it doesn't really affect them. SmackDown's on USA, so it's going to affect them, but they're there for the next 4 or 5 years. Warner Brother has AEW, and the AEW ratings with this new method here are trending the worst that they've ever been for AEW, and they can't bear to have any more bad news as far as the ratings because they were already down at least half, and the demo was cut in half as far as what they're doing over there between the 18 to 49 demo. What does this mean for advertisers when it comes time for negotiations for an AEW? I know TNA says, or at least this report said TNA is not going to be affected, but for all we know, it very well could.
Yeah.
You know, what does it mean at the end of the day for pro wrestling? Because this is going to hurt their bottom line.
It has more of an effect on a TNA or an AEW than it does WWE. Because like you said, they're locked in and they have deals. Yeah, they were smart because they have so many deals that are spread out amongst linear and streaming. I mean, they have deals with all the different platforms, so which is very smart. Could it have an effect on TNA right now? This, in many ways, this is the worst possible time for this kind of news to be coming out because they are in the middle of negotiations with a potential partner for a new TV deal. I still think a deal will get done. I mean, I'm leaning towards CW. I think they end up on the CW. I think they're going to move the show from Thursdays to Wednesdays.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I'm thinking. It's like CW on a Wednesday night. The night after NXT, I can definitely see that.
How do we stick it to Tony Khan? We'll just use the other promotion to go counter-program this, so we wouldn't have to do it.
Oh, yeah. So I think they'll still get their deal, and it sounds like it's going to be done soon because Carlos Silva, as recently as this week, was saying, you know, whatever deal we make needs to be done soon because the idea would be that it would kick in at the beginning of 2026. So we're going to be, maybe not this weekend for Bound for Glory, but we're going to be hearing very soon on that. Long term, yeah, it could have consequences, but I think the entire television landscape is going to have to recalibrate. It's not just wrestling. It might be affecting wrestling in a negative way, but I'm sure wrestling will not be the only form of television affected by this. This is going to become the new normal. You know, this is the new method of measurement. What does it mean? You know, you mentioned Meltzer said it's a disaster for wrestling and they can't really get a handle on what it means. I'll tell you what it means. It means that right now there's a lot of people who are very fucking bored with weekly pro wrestling, and maybe the numbers weren't as high as people thought they were. Maybe things haven't gone down so much recently as this is what it was, and we just didn't know how bad it was. Because for all the talk about, and there are people who will say wrestling's super hot, wrestling's never been hotter than it is right now, and they mistake that to mean how much money WWE is making. WWE is making more money now than ever before. That does not mean that wrestling or even WWE is as hot product-wise as it's ever been. It's not. It's not. There's this misnomer that wrestling is super hot and mainstream right now. It's not. And maybe that's the real takeaway from this.
The biggest takeaway from my point of view is this is a great thing for the fans. I don't give a shit what TKO is making and how hot their wallets are with all the money they're making. I don't care. This is a great thing from my point of view for us fans, because I don't know how much, because let me be honest. We'll get into the Monday Night Raw stuff in a little bit, but I feel like Monday Night Raw has been kind of slowly trending upwards the last couple of weeks, and they're doing things that they weren't doing the last 3 weeks, or the past 3 weeks, fucking 3 months ago. I feel like that C rating that Andres Hale gave WrestlePalooza maybe snapped a fucking light bulb on Triple H's head. I hope so. Probably not. It might be wishful thinking, but I hope that the negative that WWE sees as far as that, they're making the appropriate changes. I feel like us fans need to look at this as a good thing. If the SmackDown ratings are now at a 1.04 million for their B show, which they were coming off Fox and they were doing a normal of 2.3, 2.4 every Friday, and now they moved to the USA Network and they lost over half of their fucking audience. Where did they go? Did everybody just stop watching pro wrestling because they can't find the fucking show? Or did they stop watching pro wrestling because the show fucking sucks? Let's be real. WWE is very fortunate that they got 500 whatever fucking million, billion, 5 billion from fucking Netflix to go over there. The numbers over there are easy to look at. All you need to look is the charts for Monday Night Raw. Trending number 2, number 3 worldwide across Netflix platforms. It's great. That's all people are going to look at. SmackDown is not so fortunate. So when WWE, TKO, and Triple H and Nick Khan see 1.04 million, I hope the fucking light bulb goes off in their head and says, you know what, we need to make the fucking changes to make this show better and give the fans what they need, because we need to get those fans back. What were we doing then that we're not doing now? Telling long-term stories with characters that we care about. AEW is even worse. Tony Khan has lost already half of his fucking audience in both the overall viewership and the demo, and he's done nothing to change. Now Dynamite is looking at 465,000 when their normal was anywhere between 550 and 650. Now they're doing less than 500,000, and they made Eric Bischoff look correct because he said that a year ago. So what are they going to do to change it? Are they going to give us what we need to make the show better and flesh out some stories and give us characters that we care about and actually get involved with some long-term vision over there? I hope that they change, Jason, because I don't know how you look at it as far as a fan. Never mind the money. I hope that they look at this and say, you know what, we gotta fucking stop being lazy and we gotta put on a better program.
Well, I mean, look, I think that's true really for all wrestling companies, where it's better when you hold their feet to the fire. You know, I mean, they have all these guarantees. That's the thing with WWE, especially. They're locked in. They have all this guaranteed money, billions of dollars now, right? And AEW too, right? They have, I think that deal is worth as much as $600 million. That last, deal they signed with Warner Brothers Discovery. So when you know that you have this money coming in, I do think that psychologically, it affects you in a different way, because it's just very different. It's a very different world than it was, with wrestling 30 years ago, and they lived and died by the ratings. And if business was going down, if tickets weren't selling as well, you go into panic mode, right? Oh my God, what are we doing? We have to change, right? We're doing something wrong, right? The fans are telling us, they're dictating to us that something is not resonating. So we have to make changes. And it's still the same way with independent promotions, but with like these big companies that have all this guaranteed money coming in, I feel like they can look at it and go, no, you know what? What we're doing is right. We're going to stay the course. We're going to tell our stories. We know what we're doing. Yeah, we'll listen to the fans. We can hear the fans and they chant and all that. We still keep our finger on the pulse. But you don't have that sense of urgency where if you see that something isn't working, it's like, okay, maybe we should pivot. Maybe we should try something different. I think it's just a different mentality because their backs aren't against the wall. You know what I mean? In the way that they would have been years ago, where it was more of sort of an instant reaction where, okay, this isn't working. This is affecting our bottom line, and we got to make some kind of a change. So what are we doing wrong? And let's recalibrate, and let's go left instead of going right. But now they're so locked in. That's why Triple H, one of these criticisms of his way of booking, because there was a hashtag trending this week, Fire Triple H. That was a trending hashtag earlier this week. Hashtag fire Triple H.
Oh my God.
And
people got too much time on their hands, bro.
And one of the criticisms that I see, and it's not wrong, is that some of these stories that he tells, he drags it out for so long that it just gets to a point where you just are begging for him to just make a move. Like, let's move this forward. And he just wants to keep it going. It's like, let him cook, right? I made this comment the other day. I'm like, let him cook. I'm like, if he leaves this shit on the stove any longer, he's going to burn the fucking house down, right? He does have a tendency to do that with some of these stories, like the Balor and Dominic stuff. You would think that's leading to a WrestleMania match between the two of them. But I feel like this tension, this underlying tension between Dominic Mysterio and Finn Balor, like, dude, how long has this been playing out for on TV? It feels like we're going on a year of this.
Yeah, it's all year, all of 2025.
So that's one example where it's like, I think part of the reason a lot of these shows are just so fucking dull sometimes is I'm old enough to remember when I would watch Raw. And I'm not saying that Russo Crash TV, that's the way to go. We got to go back to that. But I'm saying, like, it is a television show. I'm definitely not saying that. There was some good and there was a lot of bad. And Crash TV is not the answer because you'll burn yourself out. So I'm fine with telling stories, but you have to know when you get to a certain point in the story, when you have to, make some kind of a move or move on to the next chapter of the book. And he just has a tendency to let things cook a little too long, and it makes for very boring weekly TV that will build to some 5-match PLE that'll be full of spectacle and surprises.
That's another fucking problem.
Yeah, and then he'll look for that big moment because it's all about moments. Is it really worth it, though, to sit through all that weekly television if it's that uninspired and dull to get to that one moment 9 months from now?
No, it's not. It's not.
And that could be why some people have tuned out of the product.
Of course they have.
I don't blame them.
Gon said, let him cook. Man is still collecting firewood.
Yeah, he's a fucking caveman. He's got it over his shoulder. He's carrying the firewood around.
It's either too long or it's just dropped completely and people just disappear from television with no explanation.
There has to be that happy medium where story is so important. I know you talk about it all the time, whether it's AEW and Tony Khan or Triple H and WWE. Story is very important. This is episodic television, especially with WWE, right? That we make movies, we tell stories. So story is very important. Long-term booking, all of that, very important. There has to be a happy medium between going too long with it and then not having enough of it. And they just haven't really been able to find that sweet spot. That's the key right there. If you could find that sweet spot where you tell some cool stories, but you know when the story is supposed to end, or you move that story to the next chapter. And they're just not doing a good enough job of that right now. And I think that's a big part of why these shows, in addition to the over commercialization of it, that's a big problem too.
All right, but why is this a problem for him now? He used to do this in NXT. 1 week, he had 1 hour at 1 week, every week on Wednesday with NXT Black and Gold. And he told some of the best stories that the company had seen in years with his roster down there. And they played it, and they played it out. Listen, they played it out. He's got two shows, two separate rosters, completely different visions on both Monday and Friday night. Now, I don't know if he's handling everything, and he's got other people just taking care of the stuff he doesn't really give a shit about. But I mean, he's got two separate shows here, once a week, one at 2.5 hours and one at 2 hours. You mean to tell me that he is so far gone that he can't go back and do what he did on NXT Black and Gold, and it's that difficult now for him to apply what he did there now to Raw and SmackDown?
Well, to that, I'll say two things. So, number one, with NXT, he had the one show. He had the one show and a pretty small roster comparatively to what he has now. So I think that's a little bit different, right? Because his focus was more on that one roster, a certain handful of talents. And he knew that from one takeover to the next, because they weren't doing them every month, I don't think, back then.
No, once a quarter.
But so from one takeover to the next, he had to move things along. And it never felt like these stories were overstaying their welcome. That's what made the Black and Gold product so enjoyable to follow, because you knew you were getting that in addition to these kick-ass wrestling matches. It was a good blend of both. The other thing I would say is, you mentioned Ryan Ward earlier. I think he may have been the head writer.
Yeah.
So again, how much of it was Triple H and his vision, and how much of it was either a Ryan Ward or the writing and the people that were surrounding Triple H. Because I think it's unfair to just give him all the credit. I'm sure there were other people behind the scenes who had a lot to do with the success of NXT back then. They just don't have the notoriety that Triple H does. Is it a case where maybe to some degree he's being exposed right now and maybe he got a little too much credit for it? I certainly think that's a possibility because now he's got 2 rosters and 2 shows, and it's a lot. I don't want to sit here and say that, you and I could definitely do a better job. That's not what we're saying. What we're saying is that we as the viewer are watching the show. We have certain expectations for what we're hoping to get out of the shows every week. We want to see it get better. We want it to be fun. It makes what we do more fun, right? It makes the discussions more fun. Whether we're praising something or ranting about something, just give us something, right? It's a hard thing. It is weekly television. It's live. There's no net. You have time restrictions. You got sponsors. You got to promote this. You got to plug that. I get that. But I do wonder if maybe there's a little bit of that going on where he didn't have to worry about that so much with NXT. But now this is like a big production now. And maybe he's being a little exposed.
Well, WrestlePalooza definitely exposed Triple H and his team, whoever's involved, because you just look at that Cody and Drew McIntyre match and the way that they went off the air. You look at the way WrestlePalooza ended. It's exactly what's wrong with the product. It's too safe. Like, I don't give a fuck if Cody held the championship for 4 weeks. It was Cody who took a role to go film Street Fighter fucking 19 hours away via flight somewhere in Australia. If he wanted to go be the champion, then don't take fucking movie commitments. They took him off TV for 4 weeks to sell this match, and then that's the way you end the fucking show? Like, where is the risk?
Yeah.
Put the title on Randy Orton and forward the storyline with the people that are on TV that we genuinely care about. If Cody is not there, how do we care about Cody? Now Cody's the champion, and what is he doing on this show? He's wrestling Seth Rollins, someone he's got great history with, but he's not on the brand that Cody's on. And the championships are not even on the line.
Yes,
we're basically setting up for War Games, and the World Heavyweight Championships are not going to be on the line for the next 2 PLEs.
Yes, and you hit on another issue. I mean, we can go down a whole list of grievances here when it comes to either SmackDown or the product in general and some of the things that are hurting the shows. But one of them is you have some of these stars, some of these bigger names that show up and then they disappear.
Yeah.
And they're barely around. Now, Cody typically is around, but in this case, he had a movie to film. He's done a couple of movies this year. So, yeah, the champion disappeared for weeks and weeks. That didn't help. Roman Reigns comes and goes. If he wrestles half a dozen matches in the entire year, I think that would be a lot. They bring back Brock Lesnar, who I don't think anybody was clamoring for, but they brought him back. And so we didn't see him again until WrestlePalooza, right? As far as like in a match, we didn't see him in the ring until WrestlePalooza. And before that, he had like 2 more appearances where he came out and didn't even really say much. So those are just a few examples of these big names that show up and they disappear. And again, that's a big departure from how these shows used to be. When people talk about ruthless aggression and they talk about the Attitude Era and they reminisce and they romanticize these eras of wrestling. Dude, can you imagine if back during those periods, Stone Cold Steve Austin went off to go film a fucking movie and he disappeared for 3 months and then he came back and before The Rock actually did start doing movies, let's say 2000, 2001, The Rock, he disappeared for 4 months to go film a fucking movie. And then The Undertaker it would be ridiculous. Same thing in the Ruthless Aggression era when you had Kurt Angle and you had Brock Lesnar and you had Eddie Guerrero and all these people that were, the nucleus of these shows, and they were there every single week and they were telling stories and they were having these kick-ass matches. It was a fun show to follow with this core nucleus of talent. And it's a very different time now because they're off doing all different sorts of projects, and good for them. Right? For the individual talents, it's great. They get to go do TV and movies and, they'll be worth more when they sign their next contract. But in the meantime, we're stuck in this state of sort of suspended animation because Triple H can't make a move. He's paralyzed, until these people are ready to come back. And like you said, he plays it too safe. We were talking about this a year ago, when we talked about Bad Blood and Survivor Series around that period. And what happened to Saturday night's main event, and it was the Cody and the Kevin Owens feud, and there were things where it was like he's playing it too safe. Survivor Series last year, I remember coming out of that show feeling like nothing happened.
Yeah, the end of that men's War Games match. All we saw was Paul Heyman shake everybody's hand, and then you thought with the way that they lingered, something was going to happen, and then the show just went off the air with everybody just holding each other's arms up. Like, what the fuck?
And I said this recently. with the price increases. But this is also true of everything I just talked about as far as just the differences in the product now, where they feel like, well, it's okay, we'll just drag this out and drag that out. They take their audience for granted. They take their audience for granted. They take you and me and all the fans for granted that they're going to be there. Now, us two schmucks will probably still be there because this is what we do. But there's a lot of fans out there who are not necessarily hardcore, diehard WWE fans who, guess what? They're going to check out. They don't give a shit. So you could take the audience for granted, but that's a bad gamble to take that they'll always be there. That's not always the case. Right now, they're sitting pretty. 2 years, 3 years, 5 years down the road, those chickens may come home to roost, and it may be a very different situation.
This is the type of discussion that I like to have here, especially on this show, because the ratings discussion bled into, well, what's going to happen to pro wrestling? Is pro wrestling not hot anymore? No, it's not hot. It's hot for the fucking suits and ties that are collecting a nice hefty paycheck every single week. It's not hot for us fans. Me and Jason are feeling it first and foremost. We're two of the top guys in the fucking community when we go live, and our audiences have dwindled because the fucking shows are terrible. Nobody wants to watch us if the shows are terrible. We got our core people that are with us because they want to see us, and they're with us. But everybody wants to celebrate great pro wrestling, and right now it's not. I've coined the phrase, pro wrestling has been fucking terrible in 2025. I don't know where anybody says it's great. What's great about WWE? What's great about AEW? Nothing. I'm fucking bored out of my mind. I've given serious thought about even taking a step back for like the last month of the year because nothing happens. Where are we now that you want to see us talk about pro wrestling? There's nothing going on. Thankfully, we have Survivor Series coming up, and it's supposed to be a big deal. But outside that, I mean, I'm burnt out. I'm burnt out from apathy, bro. I don't know what to tell you.
Well, so, and there are times where this time of year it gets slow, and I'm sure it's only going to get worse because we are heading into the holidays and the end of the year, and then they start ramping up for the Royal Rumble. So the Rumble is in Saudi next year, and then that leads into another WrestleMania in Las Vegas. And my only hope is that, you know, they have some good things planned for Rumble and Mania season, because that's always the biggest time of year, right? Not just for us, but just for WWE and the product in general. And so that's my hope, you know, is that whatever directions that they are planning now, because now is the time they are going to start ramping up and planning for Rumble and Mania season, that they have something damn good, you know, up their sleeves to make it exciting. Maybe it won't be exciting in the way that it was when we had that final boss character for the first time, and they pivoted, and then we had what ended up being a great story heading into WrestleMania 40, and Cody finished the story. You're not always going to have a Cody Rhodes finishing the story. That's not going to be every single year, but they need to tap into something like that again. Find that person, find that story. Yeah, you mentioned before, we were talking about Cody and he's gone, and why not put the belt on somebody else? Yeah, I felt that way even a little bit about like an LA Knight or someone who, yeah, you have certain talents on these shows and you look at them and you go, well, they're in main events and they're a top guy on the brand, but like there's no chance that this person is going to win the championship. There's no drama anymore. You already know when these matches are made. Oh, you already know who's winning before the match even takes place.
It is fucking wildly frustrating. I say it every week, man. I can't stand. The worst thing about watching pro wrestling is I know the match ending before the fucking match even starts.
Oh yeah,
every week on Dynamite, I'm like, I don't need to watch this one. I know what's going to happen here. Same thing with WWE's not immune to this either. They do the same thing. Like, I'm tired of it. Every PLE, I know Roman's going to win this one. No risk. Bronson Reed get the big win over Roman. Fuck, you know, you think it's going to be different going into Australia. I hope that's the case, but Roman's going to walk out with a victory again. What else is new?
Well, you know, I think that would be a mistake, but yeah. So I mean, look, it's turned into Festivus here with the airing of the grievances, but
yeah,
this is stuff that we're not the only ones who feel this way.
No,
you know, so there are definite things on both products and both wrestling in general that need to be improved upon. To make the product just more engaging, and not just for like casual fans, but just the people like, you know, us and the people in the chat who watch and listen to wrestling podcasts. You're obviously a wrestling fan if you're tuned into a show like this, and we just want the shows to be more fun and more exciting week to week. And for every really fun, like, oh man, that was a really like a great show. It flowed well. It was exciting or whatever. I feel like you get 4 or 5 of them that are the complete opposite. And there has to be a change, you know, something has to change because I think the longer that goes on for, you are going to start to, you know, hemorrhage some viewers who would normally stick with you and they just throw the towel in and they're like, you know what, this just isn't fun anymore. I may listen to wrestling podcasts, but I'm not going to watch the show week to week.
No.
Why am I going to waste 2.5 hours of my life on a Monday night or 2 hours on a Friday night or a Wednesday night when I know that, it's just going to be more of the same and there's nothing different,
No, people want to celebrate in the excitement, and people want to fucking bathe in the negativity or the disappointment when something is good or bad. But
they want to restore the feeling, JD.
Yeah. Well, I mean, good luck.
What happened to the feeling?
Well, that's why we have Jungle Boy back. So
he's still dressed up in his.
You do the wave. You do the song like I do on Wednesday.
I kind of bounce around to it. I like the song. I don't wave. I don't sit here with my hands up in the air like I just don't care. But I like the song.
Yeah, we'll get to Dynamite a little bit, man. You see that he thinks that little leather knife holder is a little nice aesthetic for his ring gear now?
Yeah, he's got a knife.
Yeah.
Is he going to cut someone like Tank Abbott in WCW that time?
I don't know. Maybe that's what he used to cut the casket open when he dug up Luchasaurus's body from the gravesite. I don't know.
It would have been nice to hear him say why they reunited in the first place. I don't think I've heard him say one word since he came
Zero.
back.
We'll talk about that a little later. The discussion we just had perfectly bleeds into Monday Night Raw, because I said on Monday, the last 3 weeks, Monday Night Raw has got progressively better just a little bit, week by week by week. And this show on Monday was the better of all three shows this week by far and away. And I thought it was one of the better Monday Night Raws in months that WWE's produced on Netflix. And coincidentally, I went back to the 8 p.m. start time, which I enjoy. It's been 7 p.m., which is a little different because I got to eat dinner a little earlier. This coming Monday, it's 8 a.m. I'm not watching Monday Night Raw at 8 a.m.
It's just ridiculous. You go from 7 o'clock to 8 o'clock at night to 8 o'clock in the morning.
No.
So what's next?
I'll be in bed with my little boy Freddie sleeping next to me. I don't care. Don't wake me up until 10:30. Not watching WWE at fucking 8 o'clock in the morning. Regardless, Jason, Raw was great, in my opinion, because they are getting back to telling stories with characters that we are genuinely emotionally invested in. Monday Night Raw had Roman Reigns return, CM Punk on the show. We had Cody Rhodes and Seth Rollins. Their feud has been, to me, the best built championship match. That's not really a championship match all year. I mean, we had Cena, Cody. We had Rhea Ripley, Io Sky. We had that tremendous main event at WrestleMania that closed night one. We had some great main events for WWE this year, but they're not, the typical WWE main events where we can go back and say everyone was great. It's kind of spread out. This, I feel, Cody and Seth Rollins has been built tremendously just because of their history. Never mind the ring and the Crown Jewel championships, which are going to go back into storage after the show is over. There's characters on this show that we genuinely care about. Now we got the tension between Jimmy and Jay, Jimmy and Roman giving Jay Uso advice. We still got LA Knight, who wants a piece of the Usos for whatever reason. CM Punk is now involved. Jay Uso wants a shot at the World Championship because Roman's been giving him advice. We got Seth Rollins and Paul Heyman, and Rollins now, the doubt that Rollins has if he could beat Cody or not. Paul Heyman seems to be comfortable in the fact that Rollins is going to do it. But that tension there, is Rollins in charge? Is Heyman in charge? If Rollins loses, what is Heyman going to do? Is he going to dump the Vision? Is he going to dump Rollins? There's so much going on now. We can physically just sink our teeth into it and talk about it because there's multiple stories, multiple layers and characters that we genuinely care about. And I said, all these characters have built-in equity on the show. So you're automatically going to go and find yourself interested in these characters because they have a long, rich history on the show. And they're all intertwined with each other. Now, granted, Survivor Series is coming up and War Games needs to be built and all these people are going to have issues with each other and they're going to all tie that into War Games. But regardless, I'm just glad we're getting stories. The Bloodline story seems to be picking up again in a different way. Now it's Roman giving Jay advice. Jay's going a little rogue. Jay's going a little harder edge. What does that mean for Jimmy? Are the Usos going to split up? Is this a storyline that's going to bring Jimmy in line with Jay and get them on equal level? Because Jay is far right now ahead of Jimmy Uso. I don't know what's going on there, but we know these characters from what we saw 2 years ago, and everybody's interested because they do story great. Point I'm trying to make is story is rich on Monday Night Raw right now, and it's making it a much enjoyable watch. I wish SmackDown would come along, But the reason why Raw was great was because there's just so many layers of story there that carry the show week to week to week. And that's what we all are here for. Long-term story, long-term vision. And we all watch pro wrestling for the stories. Me, anyway. We're going to get great pro wrestling regardless, but I'm here for the stories.
Yeah, I mean, to me, it's one of the biggest issues I had with the and still have with the MFTs on SmackDown. You know, we talk about the equity in the characters and the character development. Everybody in the bloodline, they really fleshed out those characters a couple years ago. Roman, each Uso, Sami Zayn, Paul Heyman. And you look at a group like the MFTs, and why hasn't that worked? Why hasn't that gotten over? You know, they're not particularly, looked upon, I think, as vicious heels, because they're supposed to be heels, not baby faces, but nobody gives a shit. Nobody cares, right? Because we don't hear from them. We don't know. Like, Tama Tonga is probably about to come back, right? Okay. So what?
He's the missing piece, bro.
He's the missing link, apparently, yes. I don't know what's going to be any different about this group, because they don't give us segments like they did with the Bloodline to let us in and let us know why we should care about these individual characters we know nothing about. JC Mateo and Tonga Loa and all of them. So, yeah. That's all we know. That's what Tama Tonga does. He makes funny noises. So, it doesn't help that they're already a great value version of the Bloodline, but it's just, again, very surface level stuff. So with the Bloodline, the OG Bloodline, yes, there are different layers to this story. I like the fact that Jey Uso isn't just the yeet man who comes out now. He's kind of pissed off. He's got a bit of an attitude. And to me, it just makes him a more interesting television character. The LA Knight and CM Punk stuff. I enjoyed that verbal exchange that they had on Monday night. Knight is somebody who can go back and forth, toe-to-toe on the mic with Punk. It looks like Punk and Jay and Knight are still going to be in that world title picture. I don't know if we're going to end up with a four-way match. Yeah, because coming out of Crown Jewel, the next time that Rollins defends his championship, I don't know if it's going to be Saturday night's main event, because I imagine he'll be in War Games. But, who's the next challenger for the world title? Well, it better not be CM Punk. We better not be going right back to that. So I could see it being maybe some sort of multi-man match. But I enjoyed the interaction with them on Monday night with Punk and Knight. Becky Lynch and Maxine Dupree was better than it had any right to be. That was the big surprise, honestly, about Monday night, was how enjoyable that match was. Maxine had the best match of her life on Monday night. And to me, it just illustrates the negative about them not running as many live events anymore. Because I was thinking, like, when was the last time? She must be on Main Event maybe, but realistically, like, how many matches is Maxine Dupree really wrestling on a week-to-week basis? She's training with Natty, and a lot of that training has seemingly paid off. But she was someone who didn't really spend much time in NXT, and they called her up to the main roster, where NXT would have been perfect for someone like her. So it's kind of like trial by fire. I remember that whole controversy where she was at a live event and somebody said something really mean to her, and it became a whole thing on social media. Yeah. So since then, she has made some very visible, obvious improvements, because that's the best that she's ever looked in the ring. And even still, you could tell she's still, I'm not going to make it sound like she's, fucking, I don't know. Give me the name of a great legendary women's wrestler from the past. I'm trying to think of someone here. I'm drawing a blank. I don't know. Fucking, Judy Grable. I don't know why her name popped in my head. Fucking the big Judy Grable fan that I am. But like, she's not at that level, obviously. She's got a lot of learning to do. But it's a credit to her. It's a credit to Becky Lynch and how great she is. She's having a great year in terms of the matches that she's been having. And it's a great example of like taking that mid-card title that Becky has. I know the title wasn't on the line there, but elevating the person that she's in the ring with and trying to bring that person up to her level, to where now it's like, man, I could actually sit here and say, I would like to see Maxine get a title match eventually. She may not win, but it could really elevate her on the show. So that match was very enjoyable in a way I wasn't expecting it to be. I really enjoyed that Raw show Monday night. And I can't say that about the show every week, but I felt on my birthday, their gift to me was giving me a good episode of Monday Night Raw. So I was happy when that show was over.
Yes, Roman came back. We got the Roman Reigns match announced for Crown Jewel. We'll talk about Crown Jewel in a little bit. What happened? Who's making the guy?
No. I'm just Judy Grable again is the first name that came to me. Manami Toyota. Yes, that's a good name. Manami Toyota. May Young. No, well, May Young was more of a street fighting type. But I don't know why that was the first name that popped in my head. What was that movie that came out a few months ago or earlier this year? Camille was in it.
Oh, Queen of the Ring.
Queen of the Ring.
Yeah.
That was based off of who? Whose life again? Oh, God.
I don't know. I didn't see it.
I didn't see it either, but it was based off of I was trying to think of that person, and I drew a blank. So that's why I thought, oh, fucking Judy Grable.
I'm sure someone in the chat will know that. I didn't get to watch that one yet.
Anybody in the chat who saw Queen of the Ring, whose story was it based on? This is going to drive me nuts now.
Roman Reigns, like I said, he's got his match with Bronson Reed at Crown Jewel. We'll get into the preview predictions there in just a little bit.
Mildred Burke.
There you go. Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
She's no Mildred Burke.
There you
but
go. No, she's not.
Maybe one day. You never know.
Listen, I said this about Maxine, bro. I'm not the biggest Maxine Dupree fan, but I can appreciate the fact that the woman has probably had stereotype after stereotype hurled at her because she's a beautiful woman. And people probably, I've done it. I'm guilty of it. She should stick to being a valet, blah, blah, blah. She wants to put all that to bed, and she wants to say, you know what, I'm better than that. And she went in there with probably the best the division has to offer right now in Becky Lynch. It wasn't perfect by any means, but it was a hell of a lot better than whatever we saw her do 6 months ago. So progress is obviously being made, and for that, she earned a lot of respect, and she deserves her fucking flowers for that. So if she wants to dead those stereotypes, she's well on her way to doing that. I hope she keeps up with it, bro. But secondly, I said I don't know what WWE's plans are following up with Maxine and Becky Lynch. Is there going to be another match? It looks like there may be. But I compared it to Mercedes and Harley Cameron when they wrestled at Grand Slam Australia. AEW and Tony Khan did nothing with Harley Cameron. Everybody was like, this is the next star. Let's keep the momentum going. You got something there. She died, and the next thing you know, she was on Collision wearing a hologram mask, calling herself Harley Graham. Now, I don't want that to be the same case here with Maxine Dupree, but it's all in the follow-up always. Will Triple H follow up? Is Maxine going to be a more focal point in the division slowly but surely? I don't know. But this is a good step.
Yeah. It's a good step, but again, to the point I was making where they don't really have many house shows anymore. So the only way for her to really get those reps in is to put her on the show. And you've got to get her in the ring. It's the only way for her to get out there in front of a live crowd like that over and over and over again. And to me, that's how you get better. And you can only do that so much in a garage or in a warehouse somewhere. You have to get out in front of a live crowd. So again, maybe they have her on Main Event doing matches on some weeks. They should if they don't. But I am in favor of seeing more of her on TV and putting her in the ring with people, whether it's a Roxanne Perez or whoever it may be, because they got plenty of women on that show, and let her go out there and she'll learn from them every time she gets in the ring with them, because that I think will help her, move things along in her development. And absolutely, she should get a match with Becky Lynch because she beat Becky Lynch.
Yeah.
It was a count-out win, but she still won. I get the impression they are not ready yet to go to an AJ Lee match, so I don't know when they plan on doing that. But in the interim, they're waiting for AJ Lee to come back. Why not? Why not build to a match with her and Maxine? It drove Becky to the point where she was almost just out of her mind. Backstage later, she couldn't believe it. I'll tell you what it felt like to me. It felt like they were building to something with her and Jessica Carr. Because she was complaining about her officiating in that match. It was hilarious, actually, because at the end of that match, Jessica got up to like an 8 count, and Becky realized, because she was kind of talking shit to the crowd, and she's like, oh shit. And then like from the count of 9 to the count of 10, like I've never seen a referee count so fast in my life.
Crooked referee.
And I was like, maybe it was intentional? I don't know. And then it was pointed out to me that she was also the referee for the mixed tag match at WrestlePalooza that they lost. So I don't know. I mean, Jessica, she's wrestled. She wrestled under a mask at the Evolve tapings a few months ago. I don't know. Maybe they're building to something with her and Jessica Carr for all we know.
Maybe. I don't know. I did notice that fast count, though. Chat said that Maxine has been working the Florida rounds on the NXT house shows.
Yeah, but again, how many of those shows are there? And that's great. She should be doing that. But that's one of the drawbacks of them not doing as many live events as they were doing even just a couple of years ago, because those are the shows where you could go out and have long matches, and have long matches against people at her experience level or veteran talents. And so people like her are the ones who I think are going to really get hurt by not having as many of those live events. I mean, there's pros and cons to cutting down on the house shows. But like Mark Shapiro has said, they want to cut down even more next year.
Yeah, they want to cut down on house shows so they could raise the regular ticket prices for Raw and SmackDown by another 35%.
Well, they figure if they don't run as many shows, it makes all the other shows, I guess, more premium.
Yeah.
So they could charge a premium price for it.
That's exactly what they're going to do. Roman came back. Maxine wrestled Becky. That was very good. They went almost 14 minutes. Count out. Never seen a count out victory accumulate such a great reaction. But like we've been talking, Maxine's got something special if WWE wants to tap into that. She's got that great, just natural underdog baby face story. So if they want to tap into that's something that's certainly there if they want it. Bayley's continuing her feud with the Judgment Day with Lyra Valkyria. I don't know what's going to result in Bayley's new character development here, if she's going to go completely heel. But I did read a report today at WWE from Bodyslam.net that WWE's got major plans in store for Lyra in 2026. Where have we heard that before? I'm still waiting on that Finn Balor push in 2025.
Well, I mean, I don't know. At least he's on the show every week.
He's got the tag team champions that he hasn't defended either with JD McDonough.
True. But I mean, the Judgment Day has a minimum of like 4 segments on the show every single week.
They do.
So
they do. Roxanne beat Lyra. CM Punk and LA Knight, great segment with Jey Uso. I don't know if there's going to be a number one contender determined out of those three for like Jason said, Saturday night's main event. We'll see what happens there. Punk is not wrestling on the Crown Jewel show. Neither is LA Knight. So Jey Uso, I'm assuming he'll be there because Roman's on the card. So we'll see what happens there. We'll get into that discussion a little bit.
Maybe not. I mean, remember Jay said I got you, and Roman's like, no, I don't want you there. I don't need your help. Just remember what I told you. Focus on you. So that I'm hoping that is a good enough reason why things may swing the other way in that match. We'll get into the predictions, but.
Yeah. EO wrestled Kyrie. Rhea Ripley was not on the show. We were told that she was doing PR down in Australia for Crown Jewel. So Kyrie defeated EO there. And we got a 6-man tag team match. AJ Styles, Regan Lee, AJ Lee, and Penta against Dominic and Finn Balor along with JD McDonough. We got Rusev, or the former Miro, out there again chasing Dominic Mysterio in the Intercontinental Championship. And I don't know where they're going with that, but Penta's getting a shot next week in Australia at Dominic and the Intercontinental Championship. So it looks like they got something kind of going there with those three guys.
Well, I mean, if you remember what happened on Monday, Rusev ate an accidental super kick from Penta.
He did.
So I suspect things are not going to end well for Penta on Monday.
No. I don't know what happens with the IC title. Maybe we give it to Penta and then we get a Penta-Rusev feud over the title. I don't know. I don't see WWE ready to take the belt off Dominic yet. And then the main event, CM Punk and LA Knight, Jimmy Uso, Jey Uso. One of the more uneventful main events, Jason, the way the show went off the air. I thought with all 4 of these guys in the volatile situation that we had earlier in the night, the way that this show ended was completely, I mean, I can't even think of a better word than lackluster, man. It was just fucking, it just ended. Like nothing happened here.
Oh, wait until I'll mention what happened at the end of the NXT show last night.
Oh, boy. Which I barely watched. We'll get into that in a second. But that was Monday Night Raw. Very good show. Hopefully they continue more of the same with the stories that they're telling there on Monday night. I'll let you start, Jason. I did not watch a lot of the NXT TNA show. We'll get into that discussion along with Dynamite, which they had Title Tuesday from Daly's place last night. I was definitely focused more on Dynamite than I was on NXT. But I did tune in because I think it was around the time that Kyle Fletcher versus Kyle O'Reilly was happening. And I said, fuck this shit. I went over to the other show and I watched Ali and Ethan Page have a great TV match for the North American Championship. So I'll let you start the discussion there. Thoughts on the NXT and TNA Showdown show on the CW?
I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it a little bit more even than the Dynamite show because I know Dynamite had Dynamite had some good matches on the show. I can't say it did anything to get me terribly excited necessarily about anything they were doing last night, but I enjoyed the NXT show, and it was a show where TNA really needed to come out at least even with NXT. And you never know what WWE is going to do because their fucking top titles are on NXT talents right now. They had an NXT talent captaining the women's TNA team, right? This is what WWE does. But to my surprise, in a positive way, they ended up even. So NXT 1-2, TNA 1-2, which I think is fine. They had the tag team championships on the line. It was title for title. It was the Hardys and Dark State. And I fully expected the Hardys were going to win the titles here because at some point, you had to have TNA talents take some gold from NXT. This is something they've avoided this entire time. So who better than the Hardys, who basically people look at as WWE stars anyway?
I love how they think, man. It's like, we won't put the title on actual TNA talent, but we'll put the titles on guys that are basically WWE guys just wrestling in TNA.
Yeah. So now we're okay with doing this now. So we'll put those titles on the Hardys. So now the Hardys have the NXT tag team titles. They have the TNA tag team titles. They're actually wrestling for the HOG tag team titles on Friday night. Yes, so we'll see how that turns out. The match itself, it was fine. I mean, it wasn't anything great or anything like that. I want to say maybe it was Osiris from Dark State. That was not his best match. I didn't think he looked all that great in that match. But again, these guys are very young. That's what NXT is for. So they did what they had to do. They got the belts on the Hardys. And, of course, everybody in the PC was all excited, and they were celebrating that the Hardys won. They had the North American Championship match you mentioned. That was easily the best thing on either show last night.
Yes.
I mean, that match kicked ass. Ali is he's so great. And so is Ethan Page. I don't want to take anything away from him by saying, oh, Ali is so great. Both these guys are great. I think Ethan Page has been able to show a side of himself that we never got to see in AEW. That's why he left. He was hoping to get an opportunity like this, and Shawn Michaels clearly loves him. And I think now, and I didn't think this way when he first came in, that he could be a real player on the main roster.
Yeah, I agree. I agree there. I think they put the NXT title on him in a way that felt very unnatural, like they were trying to prove a point that he was the guy. And look at us now. We got him, but I don't think that was the right role for him. Now he finally settled into a role I believe him in.
Yes,
you know?
Yes. And so I see big things for him. So he's great, but Ali is someone where you watch him and it's like, how did they cut this guy?
Ridiculous.
You know, like who made that call? I mean, it was a bizarre thing to begin with because he was in the middle. I mean, literally the middle of a North American Championship feud. He had a PLE match coming up with Dominic Mysterio that he was going to win, and then he got fired. So I could imagine Shawn Michaels was thrilled when he got the news. But I'm watching him, and he's just, to me, right now in wrestling, he's certainly among the best, if not the best, when it comes to selling and bump taking.
Yeah, he's like Dolph Ziggler.
Matches. Yes, which could work against him.
Yeah,
because that is something that also worked against Dolph. Dolph became the guy that they always used to make other people look good. But Ali is fantastic, and I love the story going into it. I love that promo last week on the show where he said, I was supposed to get a shot at that title 2 years ago, and it got taken away from me. I want my shot now. So they tied it into his legitimate, history on the NXT brand. So the match was excellent. Like I said, it was the best thing on the show. Ethan Page obviously retains because he's got another little side quest going on with El Hijo del Dr. Wagner Jr., I think it is, from AAA.
Yeah, they're trying to sell you something there that just to me is not there. I don't know.
Well, they're trying to push AAA. I mean, they're trying to loop AAA into this in a way that I don't really get the sense people really give a shit about. And then you had the 2 Survivor Series matches. It was a very lean card. It was a 2-hour show. AEW was 2.5 hours, which it didn't really need to be. But the Women's Survivor Series match was the weaker of the two. There were some messy parts to this. It was a good showcase for each woman in the match. But again, I just look at it and I just laugh. Like, you look at that NXT team and you look at the TNA team. And the TNA team is constructed entirely by people who are either currently in NXT or really when you are most recently associated with being in WWE. There were no TNA originals at all on the women's team.
Yeah, just to give you guys a clear indication of what Jason's saying, Kalani Jordan, who's NXT, Mara Sade, who is the former Jakara Jackson, the Iconics, who are now the Inspiration, and it was only 4-on-4, right? That was it?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So So that was kind of funny because it came down to Kalani Jordan all by herself, I think. I think it might have been 3-on-1. And it's like, boy, TNA is down. I'm like, TNA is dead because she's NXT. So, like, this match is basically already over. But she's the Knockouts champion. So she's, flying the flag for TNA. Jordan Grace was the special referee, was really a non-factor for the most part. Really, both special referees were because they had Joe Hendry as the official on the men's match. And really, they were basically non-factors. It was just a way to get them on the show. The one thing I will say in watching these two matches, it did reinforce a thought that I already had, and I've talked about this before. I really wish that Triple H would retain at least one traditional Survivor Series elimination match on that PLE every year. Just because, again, the nostalgia of it, but I also think if you just limit it to one, or even if you do one for the men, one for the women, I guess that's fine. But just to keep that tradition alive, because there are stories that you could tell in a Survivor Series match, just like there are stories you could tell in a War Games match. So I enjoy just seeing the traditional Survivor Series style matches back, even if just for the one night. The men's match was better. The men's match, once Team NXT won the women's match, TNA had to win the men's match. I mean, can you imagine them sweeping both Survivor Series matches? I mean,
yes,
would there
could.
be a bigger... I can too. That's what's scary about it. So I was pretty sure that wasn't going to happen at this point. They had Mike Santana captaining the TNA team. They had Ricky Saints captaining the NXT team. And I guess the big story really was Trick Williams, who is the TNA World Heavyweight Champion. Are you following me here? It could get confusing. He's the TNA World Heavyweight Champion, but he was on Team NXT because TNA didn't trust him.
Okay, that makes sense. Okay.
It does make sense,
yeah.
But it could all get very confusing when we talk about this person works for this company, but they're this champion. And so he pulled depending on your frame of reference, he pulled a Sid or a Bad News Brown. He left his partner. It came down to him and Ricky, and he left Ricky high and dry.
Oh, he pulled an Owen on Brett at the 1993 Survivor Series. Oh, that was that Royal Rumble.
No.
He walked out the Royal Rumble. That's right?
No.
What am I thinking of?
I don't know what you're thinking of. I don't think you're thinking.
I don't think I'm thinking.
What are you thinking of?
No, I'm trying to think. I'm trying to think if
Well,
Brett,
the 94 Rumble, Brett lost, and then Owen got pissed at him.
Yes. Didn't he walk out on the 93 Survivor Series with the Knights or no?
No, he got eliminated. He was the only one eliminated, and he was upset.
That's right. Okay. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Yes. See? Come on, man. You got to be on the
No,
ball.
I'm talking to the fucking biggest Bret Hart fanatic. Of course I'm wrong.
Yeah, I mean, I'm the wrong person to be fucking up Bret Hart trivia on here. So yeah, he left his partner high and dry. My guess is that he's going to lose the TNA title on Sunday, Bound for Glory, and then they may set him up as the next challenger for Ricky Saints because Obafemi seemingly ain't around no more, or else I would have wanted him on my Survivor Series team.
That's boring, bro. I'm sorry.
Well, I mean, we've talked about the plight of the men's division in NXT compared to the women's. They don't really have a whole ton of people.
No.
So my best guess is that Trick will be the next in line. So Ricky, he got a couple of eliminations. I think it came down to Moose and Santana, and they won for Team TNA. So that'll give Santana a little boost because anybody with a brain in their head should have him winning the NXT or the TNA championship on Sunday. They're going to be in Lowell, Massachusetts. I hope Lowell will give him a reception that is similar to what he would have gotten had they done the title change in New York. But I said like the way they ended the show. So that was the main event. And you would think they were going to close the show with that. Instead, they cut to the back and they had Ava, who's the GM of NXT, and they had Santino Marella, who's, I guess they call him the director of authority. He's like the sheriff of TNA. And they're talking about what a successful event they had, and NXT and TNA are back on the same page again and getting along. I'm like, oh, okay. It's kind of a weird way to end a so-called invasion angle here. And then Ava says, I want to extend an invitation to you to send the knockouts to NXT next week because I'm going to have a battle royal to crown a number one contender for the NXT Women's Championship. So she invited him to, I guess, have some knockouts in the battle royal next week. And Santino said that would be great. And they put the producer credits up and they went off the air. They basically shook hands and they faded out, and that's how the show ended.
Wow, and I thought Monday Night Raw ended terribly.
Okay. Not exactly a cliffhanger, but all right. I guess that's how they chose to end the show, the big invasion show. So it is a little bizarre though. Like they had all of this animosity between the two sides, and then they split the baby basically, right? 2 and 2. And the show ends with the GMs all smiles, shaking hands. Oh, we're getting along now. Okay, great. See you next week. So that's how the show went off the air. We're getting a battle royal next week.
Well, hopefully Jada Parker wins the battle royal and wins the championship from who's the champion? JC Jane?
JC Jane.
Yes. Still, I don't know why, but I think Miss Parker deserves a shot, honestly.
Well, JC Jane was giving Sol Ruca the side eye in a backstage segment after. So I mean, Sol already has a couple of belts. I don't know that she necessarily needs to be wrestling for that one and the women's tag team titles. They're teasing that.
We don't need any more belt collector gimmicks anywhere, please. Hardy's got how many belts now? 3? 4 tag team titles? What do they got now?
I guess technically right now they have 3 because I think there's still the West Side Guns promotion, Fourth Rope.
Yeah.
So yeah, they're collecting some hardware themselves.
I don't know. We'll see what happens there, but a lot of you guys enjoyed the NXT TNA show. It is still a very difficult watch for this guy right here. So, not that I don't like some of the talent there. I just hate the way the show's produced. I hate the way the show sounds and looks in the Performance Center. I don't know. It's not attractive to me. But I was the dummy who watched Dynamite, and
I watched both.
You did. I don't know how you do it, but
I don't know how I did it either. I had one on one screen. And then I had one on my phone, basically. And I'm trying to watch these side by side, which is tough to do when there's a promo on one show and then there's a match on the other. But I saw Dynamite as well.
Yeah, Dynamite went head-to-head here with NXT, and they labeled it Title Tuesday. It was anything but a Title Tuesday. There was 2 championship matches over the course of 2.5 hours. One of them not even being for the tag team championships. It was called a double eliminator, where Brodito wrestled Takeshita.
Double Jeopardy.
Double Jeopardy. Yes, double Jeopardy eliminator, where Brodito wrestled Okada and Takeshita. And we'll get into that in a little bit. But the one takeaway for Dynamite, Jason, and this is to the geek last week in the comments where he commented 3-hour show and they only talked about AEW for 5 minutes. Yeah, because there was really nothing to talk about. You're lucky we even mentioned AEW. I mean, look at the show.
Well, we did the show on a Thursday the week before, we had already covered. There wasn't really any real news.
No.
So we had already covered what happened on the show, but some people don't really pay attention too well.
No. They're back in Daly's place. This was their homecoming. And I have sat in Daly's place, Jason. I have attended a Double or Nothing there. I flew in the middle of a pandemic as soon as they gave clearance out there to let people back in venues. And it was a great viewing. I had a great time. The venue was great. It's just a great ambiance there. I remember vividly, I sat next to Sap and Denise in the media section, but it was a great show. I had a great time there, and I don't do that for a brand or a band or something I don't like. So I went there in the middle of a pandemic to sit because I supported AEW. Bro, we had 5,000 people there. You could barely, and this thing is showing up again. Oh no!
There it is.
There it is. You may be cut, man. Just keep an eye out. I've been moving the cursor over your screen. I don't know what the fucking problem is. So someone lied to me. He may get hologrammed again.
Sologram, yes. El Clone is coming from my soul.
Yeah, yes, he is. The point I was trying to make is I sat around 5,000 people. It was obviously a Double or Nothing and not a regular Dynamite, but the energy that was there, Jason, compared to what we got last night 4 years ago, it almost felt like I was watching, and this may be harsh, but it's almost like we're watching a dying product. Like the fans are there. They had 2,500 people or so there, whatever the number may be, but the energy was so different from what we remember Daly's Place being. And this was their home base during the pandemic. And then when they allowed fans there, it was like people couldn't wait to get there, man. You couldn't fucking find a seat in this venue. And now they could barely give tickets away. So what was your takeaway as far as them being back here in 2025 compared to what we remember Daly's Place being and how important Daly's Place was to AEW?
Well, I mean, when I look at Daly's Place, it makes me think of all the pandemic era shows. So it's kind of a mix of emotions for me because it was just a weird time in wrestling with no fans there. I mean, they made the most of it. You know, they had wrestlers at ringside and we got some great shows. So that's what I think of when I see Daly's Place. It's a cool venue. I don't know what the actual attendance or the final attendance was, but they've been struggling everywhere with these weekly shows. So I'm sure it wasn't great. But yeah, they dress it up nicely with the fans like right behind the hard cam and everything. I was less concerned about that and just looking at the card and hoping that we could at least get a show that would get me excited for Wrestle Dream. They did announce 3 matches for Wrestle Dream. Well, I mean, we already knew Hangman and Samoa Joe. We already knew that was official. But we know now there's going to be a tag team title match on that show. So we know that. We have a TNT title match on that show with Kyle Fletcher and Mark Briscoe. So that answers the question about what Mark Briscoe is going to be doing next. He is going after Kyle Fletcher. And what was the third match that they added to the show? There was a third one. Because we already have the I Quit match with Darby and Moxley.
We got the tag team match that we got last night. We're getting it for the actual titles.
Yes, I mentioned that, but there was a third one. I thought there was another match.
Briscoe, Fletcher,
tag title, TNT,
women's title, Statlander's Tony, Darby, Mox, Paige, and Joe. They only have 6 right now.
Do they?
Yeah.
Oh, no. Jurassic Express.
Yes. So $500,000, bro. You can't forget $500,000.
But you know what? I will say about that is at least they're actually this time, at least the money is actually tied into the story. Because
is it
the
though?
Bucks, yes, it is. The Bucks squandered all of their money. Nick Jackson is a degenerate gambler, and he gambled their fortune away. They have no money. They had to bang on their boss's door. They had to sit with children in the crowd last night because they had to sell their sneakers just to be able to afford tickets, they said. And they need money. So they begged Tony Khan to put money on the line in this match. And they said that's why this is now a $500,000 match. So good. At least in this case, it actually makes sense. Bro, whereas normally they would just randomly announce that on Collision, there's going to be a $400,000 all-star 16-person match.
Bro, I'm still waiting for an explanation to go back to what we talked about. I've been talking about this for weeks now. Why did Luchasaurus team with the Matriarchy? Why did Kip Sabian drag him out to wrestle Edge and Christian at Forbidden Door? Why was there tension between them? Why did he all of a sudden find himself buried again after they showed him on the operating table? Why did Jack Perry dig him up and dig up his corpse? And why are they back together? Why are they feuding with the Young Bucks? Why is Jack Perry now back feuding with the Young Bucks? Is there something that happened that we didn't know? What's the explanation there? Last time we saw them, they were in the Elite. They were giving Kenny Omega a blood intestine fucking birthday cake. He was the TNT champion. He lost it to Danny Garcia. All of a sudden he goes away for a year, and now all of a sudden there's tension there. Where's the dialogue on why any of these things happened? Like, I don't understand.
Oh,
like,
God,
am I supposed to come up with a fabricated story on my own?
Forgot about that. I forgot that Garcia had kidnapped Jack Perry,
yes.
and he put him in a garage somewhere, and he was threatening to do unspeakable things to him, and then he left him there. I forgot all about that.
It's like fucking Christian Bale and Batman. Where is he?
Yeah. Well, I mean, Daniel Garcia wishes that he sounded as intimidating as Christian Bale as Batman.
Oh my God!
I'll tell you what made me laugh. Since you brought him up, there was because Pac was in the main event last night against Orange Cassidy.
Who looked great, by the way. He looked like he was ready to fucking tear someone's head off.
He looks somehow bigger. Even though he's got a tank top on now, or singlet. He looks actually bigger than he even looked before.
He looked like one of the vaudevillains, bro.
I never saw the vaudevillains looking quite as jacked as Pac looked last. I don't know what you're thinking of, but like there was a backstage. As always, the Death Riders were in the parking lot, and Pac spoke, and then Wheeler Yuta spoke, and that's where I kind of started to tune out. But then Daniel Garcia spoke. And I wish I could remember the exact quote, but he talked about how
I have it here. Let me find it.
Please tell me. It was something about winning. Just please read the quote.
Let me find it here. Where are my notes? Hold on.
Please read the quote.
Oh, man.
But he was talking about how, like, you know, all they do is, not like the song, like all they do is win. Now I'm going to picture him singing that. And I just laughed because this is the same Daniel Garcia who, like a couple of months ago.
Oh, here, I got it here.
Yeah, read the quote.
Yuta said that they will hurt Orange Cassidy tonight. It's time to trim the fat. There are no losers here. Then Garcia says that
that's all I see everywhere I look. But go ahead.
Yes, that's exactly what I said last night too. He says he's seen a lot of losers in the back, but that's not what they're about, and they're going to keep winning. That's what winners do.
That's what winners do.
He's seen a lot of losers in the back, bro. Meanwhile, he's the biggest loser in the entire group.
I was going to say, it was like a couple of months ago that he came out on TV and he had that quote. I have it in the intro of my podcast every single week. He goes, he said something to the effect of like, who hasn't beaten Daniel Garcia? So like of all the fucking people to be standing in the back saying that, he is the last person who should be talking about winning. He hasn't won anything. So the whole thing is like a comedy segment to me. Pac is like the only one who's like stone cold serious who I could take seriously, that he might actually murder somebody. But the rest of these guys, it's just impossible. So, but as far as like the main events and the thing about Dynamite, there were 3 matches that I thought were good. The tag match was good. The tag match with Brodito and the Callis family was good. It was a table setter, you know, because we're going to get the actual title match of Wrestle Dream. I'm not even against doing a title change, frankly, on that show. Pac and Orange Cassidy, they've had a bunch of matches in the past. This was good. I didn't care for the nonsense that came, you know, after with Darby.
You mean to tell me you're not a fan of Molotov cocktails on your pro wrestling show?
Well, you're underselling this. So it wasn't just that he threatened to throw a Molotov cocktail at the Death Riders. He had pepper spray.
Yes, he did.
And he
yes.
pepper sprayed Pac. And then he had a taser. And then came the Molotov cocktail.
While he sprayed the pepper spray, all you hear is the commentators. They're selling it. Meanwhile, Excalibur, when something dastardly happens, he's there fucking laughing like he's at a comedy show.
Yeah. I don't know if they were choking. I thought maybe he was just choking on the segment. But so you have the pepper spray, you had the taser, you had the Molotov cocktail. But I have to give credit. You know, I call them security geeks on my shows every single week. I may not do that anymore because they had this one security guard who came. He was like Secret Service. He came just charging in, and he tackled like a football player. He tackled Darby to the ground. He actually did his job, and he, I guess, saved the Death Riders from being set ablaze by this crazy man. So that was their way of hyping up how insane this I Quit match is going to be at Wrestle Dream. But I look at this and I go, didn't we just have an insanely like violent, bloody, hardcore match with Moxley and Darby at All Out?
Yes.
So the only thing they could possibly do here that they didn't do it all out was actually have somebody set the other person on fire, which is why I thought it was going to be an Inferno match until they announced that it was going to be an I Quit match. That's about the only thing they could do.
Well, they'll make someone say I quit by setting them on fire. That's what they're going to do.
Or threatening to.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's lame.
Well, it's like Edge and Christian. Remember when they had their I Quit match and Christian said I quit because he pulled out fucking Spike and he's like, I'm gonna hit you, and then Christian, I give up.
Well, that's what I would do in that situation. I would also give up and I would run away. That was the smart thing to do.
He's going to pull out a fucking flamethrower and threaten to burn him alive.
Which we've already seen. He used a flamethrower on Jack Perry at Double or Nothing last year or 2 years ago. And everything's so fucking blended together. I don't even know what year that happened. But so the ending was just completely goofy. The main event itself, actually, I thought was a good match. And then the other match, there was one more match. I think
Mercedes defended against Lacey Lane.
Yeah, but no, that wasn't it, though. There was another match that I thought was good.
The street fight with the Hurt Syndicate.
Yeah, no, that was eh.
John Moxley and Tomohiro Ishii?
No, definitely not. Let me...
Kyle Fletcher and Kyle O'Reilly. Kyle versus Kyle.
Yes, I did say something good about that, even though, again, it was a collision match, of course, but the wrestling was good, right? Like if you're tuned in, you want to see a good wrestling match, of course, these guys know how to wrestle naturally. We know this already. So that's what I would say about that. The other matches I wasn't really impressed with. Lacey Lane, I feel like, is someone we could see more of, but I didn't think the match was really all that great. And then the Ishii and Moxley match, I mean, my God. I think it was a 12-minute match. It felt like 22. I'm not sure why, other than, they just wanted to heat Moxley up coming into, Wrestle Dream to give him somebody that he could beat, I guess.
Ishii took a pile driver and a curb stomp, bro, and then he kicked out at a 1, and then he got a Death Rider, and he kicked out, and then he was given the Bulldog choke, and then he tapped out.
He looked like a world beater out there. And we may not see him on TV again for a few months, because it's not like he's on TV every week. So, I mean, I don't know. Him popping up from a pile driver isn't a big deal because he has no neck.
Yes, he has no neck, yes.
So, I mean, that didn't really surprise me. There was something else on the show. Well, the Hangman Samoa Joe segment, it was good. I mean, Joe is awesome. When it comes to these intense, fiery promos, we know how great Joe is. And Hangman every week is always shouting and angry about something. So I thought the segment was fine, but again, you can't escape the fact that this is a match that just sort of came out of nowhere. It was manufactured out of nowhere, and MJF is not around, and so they needed an opponent for Hangman, and they were like, well, we'll go with Samoa Joe. And you know what? If it was a choice of Samoa Joe or someone from the Death Riders, I'll take Samoa Joe. But it's still a world title match that just was manufactured out of nothing.
Bro, Kenny Omega. Oh, God. First of all, let me start with this Hangman and Samoa Joe deal. How do you, it came off so unnatural and completely forced. I love Joe. He's one of the best promos in the business. Love him. Paige is even okay. I think he tries a little too hard from time to time. But Joe said last night 2 things that really bothered me. Number one, he's trying to find himself. Why is everybody in AEW trying to find themselves now? What is Samoa Joe trying to find? The fact that he's a former world champion, he wants to get back to the world championship? Fine, everybody should aspire to be the world champion, but you built the ops around you and made the ops into a vision of yourself. That's exactly what the ops are. And you helped Adam Page for months try to vanquish the Death Riders and get the world championship back on Adam Page so that the Death Riders don't hold the championship anymore and hide it away in a briefcase. And now all of a sudden, you're calling Adam Page a pretender and a make-believe, and he's not a world champion and all this other nonsense. That's number one. Number two, he said he tried to find himself. Why are you trying to find yourself? Joe never changed. He lost the championship, and he never changed. He won the championship. He never changed. Joe never changes. Joe is Joe. So they're trying to sell me on something that clearly isn't there. It's not realistic to me. I don't know how you felt about it. Maybe I dug a little bit too much into it and I'm picking it apart too much. How do you feel about it?
No, I mean, it goes to the point that I just made. I mean, they had to develop a story out of thin air for this. So they felt like the best story to tell, where it didn't come across as completely forced, is that Joe spent months helping Hangman really try to fight off the Death Riders. And they did that angle at All Out, or All In. All Out, All In, Jesus Christ. So at All In, where they did the injury angle. Remember, they put the chair around his neck and they stomped on it.
Yep.
So he sacrificed himself, right, for the good of the company, so that Hangman could try to get a fair fight against Jon Moxley. And that's fine, and I can understand that, where it's like, maybe I took my eye off the ball, you never beat me, and yet you're running around as the world champion. I should be the world champion. But again, the fact that it was Hangman handing him a belt that happened to drop to the mat, and that's what seemingly triggered this reaction. It was like this great umbrage to him, like this great sign of disrespect, even though it was clearly not meant that way. That to me is what was like, all right, we're trying to make something out of nothing here, and this is a little extreme, I think, as far as Joe having a hair trigger over something so trivial. So that's the one part of it that sort of bothers me. But what are you going to do? I mean, you want to have a world championship match on the show. They've developed nobody else for that spot. MJF has a contract that he has to announce in advance when he's going to cash it in, and we know he's not around. So you have this Wrestle Dream show coming up that's going to be 5.5 hours long, and they want to have a world championship match in the main event. And so if not Joe, how do you develop a story in these next couple of weeks that makes sense for Hangman to defend that world title, and who would that be against?
Bro, they had Kenny Omega written off television for a little bit so they could go attend to whatever he needed to do in Japan. They put him through a table at the ECW Arena at one of those shows towards the end. I think it was like the week before they finished their residency. He took time off. He comes back. He wrestled in a 6-man tag team match where he did the Macarena with Bandito. He didn't make a mention of Kyle Fletcher. Fletcher didn't mention Omega. They were in the same building on the same show. Not a single mention of anything that happened with the table spot weeks before between them. And now he's off TV again. So Kenny Omega clearly can wrestle. I don't know why they just don't do Fletcher and Omega for the TNT Championship like we had already seen take place with the angle that they cut, and why they didn't give the championship match that they gave to Joe to Mark Briscoe. Why are we doing things backwards? If anybody deserves a championship match for beating MJF of all people, it's Mark Briscoe. Because you're only going to put someone in that position to lose to Adam Page, and it's going to be a predictable match no matter who you put in there. Why don't you make the guy who makes the most sense get the championship match and just have Mark Briscoe get the shot? Or am I thinking a little bit too logically here, bro? Or am I crazy? I don't know.
No, I mean, I was saying this a couple of weeks ago. I said, boy, Mark Briscoe ought to be next in line for a shot. For all those weeks that we sat and watched this show and Hangman was telling MJF, you haven't earned it. You haven't earned it. You have to use your contract or you're not getting a title shot. You have to earn it. And then Mark Briscoe goes out and beats MJF in that tables and tax match, right? The biggest win of his AEW run. And where's Hangman? Hangman's given title matches to Lee Moriarty. How come he's not offering a title match to Mark Briscoe? Or how come Mark Briscoe's not banging on his door saying, hey, Hangman, can I talk to you?
Yeah.
I would have done it on the anniversary show, but you could have done it at Wrestle Dream. And actually that would have made sense because Joe is acting more heelish, but he's not a heel, right? He's still a babyface. So either way, you're doing a babyface against babyface match. The Briscoe one would have made more sense. You do Briscoe and Hangman as a match. And yeah, of course, Briscoe's going to lose, but at least he'll get a shot that he deserves and he'll fight the good fight. And it's a match that they can do until MJF comes back, right? I mean, whoever you put in there against Hangman is just a warm body for him to beat. He's not losing the championship. And the Kenny Omega thing is just, there's just no real explanation for that one. I mean, he got sent away on a stretcher and his first night back, and we know Kyle Fletcher's in the building because he was in the very next match. Kenny never came back out. I mean, I know he got ambushed by Andrade, who wasn't even on the show last night, but it's like, the guy's right there. You would think that Kenny would at least cut a promo on him, and just nothing. There's no interaction between them at all. It's like it never even happened.
Kenny Omega was attacked by Kyle Fletcher, not a mention. He then shows up on Dynamite to wrestle the Elite, and they didn't tell the story there as to why Jack Perry tried to show some sympathy towards Omega or whatever's going on between those guys, nothing. And then he got ambushed by Andrade, and they didn't even follow up with that story. So Omega is in 3 different things, and there's not one single follow-up to anything. Yeah. It's like, okay, thanks for coming,
Did they show a replay of the Andrade debut or the Andrade return?
0, bro. Not a mention.
Nothing last night,
Nothing.
Right?
He wasn't even there standing behind the Don Callis family.
I know he wasn't there, and I have no idea why he wasn't there. But I would have thought 2 things. Number 1, it was his return to the company. And number 2, he attacked one of the top stars in the company. And it just hit me like, I don't think they replayed it that night after it happened. But I don't think there was any follow-up to it at all last night.
Well, we may get the match signed for Wrestle Dream on the 3-hour extravaganza next week with Dynamite and Collision being bundled together.
Wait, what?
Yes, it's 3 hours next week. Yes.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
No. You're lying.
It is 3 hours next week, bro. I'm sorry to tell you. 2 hours of Dynamite, 1 hour Collision.
Anyway.
I ruined his birthday.
Yeah, I mean, you kind of did. You kind of did.
Oh, man. Yes, this is AEW, folks. Hurt Syndicate beat the Demand, who are not in demand. They just, 50-50 booking is just an ugly thing, bro. I don't know what they did here. They lost the tag team title match to Brodito, lost to the Hurt Syndicate. The Demand are basically high-end jobbers at this point. Jurassic Express won their return match, and they set up that tag team match with the Young Bucks. Kyle Fletcher retained over Kyle O'Reilly, where they billed it as Kyle versus Kyle 2. I don't even remember what Kyle versus Kyle 1 was.
It sounds like a couple of androids that are going at it in the middle of Kyle 1 and Kyle 2.
Mercedes Moné defended against Florida's best in Lacey Lane. I was waiting for Izzy Moreno, but fuck me for wanting something where Mercedes had to revisit her past, where Izzy probably lives in Florida, but I don't know. Maybe I'm asking too much. I also mentioned
she said she wanted Florida's best.
Yeah, Izzy should have stood up then. Yeah,
she's not Florida's best.
Well, so did Mercedes have creative control over who she chose then?
I'm just saying. I mean, if you I don't even remember how she phrased it. Did she phrase it as Florida's best?
Someone from Florida, she said.
If someone from Florida, then it could be anybody. It could be Joe Schmo off the street. I mean,
I said, what about someone that nobody knows to give a spotlight to? I mentioned, I don't know if you're familiar with her, Nikki Blackheart. She's all over social media.
Well, no, I heard people talking about Lacey Lane because she had worked some matches for Ring of Honor recently. So I kind of figured it would, and she's from Winter Park, so I kind of figured it was going to be her. And again, I think that she is someone who deserves to have another shot and, maybe get her some more on-screen time and put her in the ring with other people. I didn't think anything really special about the match. I didn't think anything like, oh, this is a great match.
No, they didn't know who she was.
And she's from Florida.
Oh.
Yeah. But the match itself, it was nothing. It was just nothing special.
No.
And think about it. That was really the key title match in many ways that they promoted for this week was this big open challenge. And it just felt like, and did they mention, I just realized this, did they mention the fact that I believe Friday is when she's going to either tie or break the record that was set by Jade Cargill?
They mentioned it. Yeah, of course they mentioned
it. They did.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. All right. I wasn't sure. Because again, I was watching two shows at the same time. So I don't know if they mentioned it on commentary.
Oh, yeah. They mentioned that with this win, now she goes into Thursday, 500 days as TBS champion.
All right. So the record, though, isn't it like 507?
It's 508.
All right. So then it's not this week.
So coming up on Wednesday, she will not have broken the record. Yeah, she's got to wait till after Wrestle Dream.
Okay. For some reason, I thought the record was going to be broken within the next 4 or 5 days.
Speaking of which, she don't even have an opponent for Wrestle Dream yet.
No. There is nobody that they have even remotely hinted at for her, unless she's going to do another open challenge.
Maybe they saved Dakota Kai for her. I don't know.
Yeah, you keep mentioning her name. Is there a reason why you keep bringing her up?
I just think she's going to end up there.
Okay.
Yeah. I also think Casey Catanzaro is going to come on in and team with Lacey Lane, and I think they're going to be in the tag team title tournament whenever that takes place.
Well, at least they're a real team.
They are. They're great.
Yeah,
I love both.
They have
more
of those. I'll say. I mean, they have more actual pairings for a division, a women's tag team division, than WWE does.
They do.
So, I mean, do they need more belts? Fuck no, they don't. But if they're going to do it, they're in a much better position to have an actual women's tag team division with belts than WWE is right now.
Yeah, I mean, they got something good there if they know how to utilize it. So we'll see them in the tournament. I do believe they'll be there. And then I think that was, and then Okada and Takeshita won a right to wrestle Brodito at the pay-per-view. You think they're going to win the titles at the pay-per-view and they're going to build the tension between them as tag team champions?
The only reason I said that is because I'm not sure if the Bandito injury is legit or not. I thought it was, but the way, and he worked the match fine. I mean, obviously he was teasing that, he had the injured arm, but he otherwise looked fine in the match. And it was just, it almost fit into the story of the match a little too well to where I'm wondering if the injury is even legit or not. Because supposedly his shoulder went out and went back in during a match that he had at Arena Mexico last week with Hechicero.
Yep.
So it may or may not be a legitimate injury, and they don't really comment on these things. So we're probably not going to know. But yeah, I think that if he were legitimately hurt and maybe they were going to give him a little bit of time off, you could put the titles on Okada and Takeshita. The only thing is, I think the best way to get to a match between them is in the Continental Classic. And that tournament is going to be starting in about, 5 weeks probably? Usually after Full Gear?
We may get it started around Full Gear, yeah.
So if that's the case, do you want the tag belts on them if you're building to what ends up being a match between them?
No.
So you could do it could be a quick thing and put the belts on them and then have them lose it within a few weeks. I mean, that's fine.
Well, I could also see them putting the belts on Okada and Takeshita and put them both in the Continental Classic and then just really focus their attention on the women's tag team championships because they can't focus on two things at the same time. So they may want to eliminate one so they can focus on the other.
You could do that.
Yeah.
But, I mean, that's what I would be building to, is a singles match between them in the finals of that tournament.
Yes. I agree there. So, yeah, that was Dynamite. Title Tuesday, which was not very much a Title Tuesday from Daly's place. And, yes, it is 3 hours next week, so get ready for... I'm not liking these extended Dynamites on Wednesday. 2.5 hours, now 3 hours. They're trying to tell us something without actually confirming it. So,
well, they have these preemptions because of the sports. It's the postseason and all that, but they're testing the waters for something here.
Yeah.
And I'm not really a fan of that.
No, I'm not a fan of that either. Someone in the chat, Christopher in the chat, says that Mercedes is wrestling for another championship in Denmark.
Yes, I did see that. She's wrestling for what would be her 10th championship.
Great.
In Denmark. And then there's 2 independent shows. So what? Oh God, there was another one too. She might have 11 belts soon.
Bro, they're gonna get it to Lucky 13, and she's gonna beat Stat at World's End for 13. Guarantee it.
She's just gonna continue to just collect belts infinitely. Like there's no end in sight.
Nope. It's like she's leveling up in a video game, man. She doesn't know when to quit.
So she's gonna have to put all the belts like in a wheelbarrow soon that somebody will have to wheel down to the ring when she makes her entrance.
Yes, like she's mining for treasure. Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know.
I don't know what purpose that serves. Okay.
Yeah, that was Dynamite, folks. Are you excited for Wrestle Dream? I know I'm not. There's 6 matches on the card right now. It would be in his best interest to keep it that way. But I know we're gonna. I know. Bro,
you don't honestly believe that?
No, I don't. There'll probably be another 6 added to the show on Saturday's Collision.
Dude, you're gonna get fucking 3 or 4 matches in the pre-show alone.
Bro,
Did you
see the Costco guy, Big Boom AJ called out Andrade, bro?
He called out Andrade, and I was like, they better fucking not. But really, the match, I think, is actually going to be, it's a tag match. So it's going to be Rocky Romero and Trent Beretta against Big Boom AJ, and he wanted it to be his son, Big Justice, who's like 13 or 14. And it was actually Rocky Romero who said, he's just a kid. We're not wrestling a kid. You go find a partner. So apparently, Big Boom AJ is going to have to find a partner. And then on the pre-show for, I think, Full Gear next month is when they're going to do the match.
Wow.
So Andrade should not have anything to do with the match itself.
No, that would definitely be a doom for Andrade. It's amazing that Cena Salamanca went out. I don't know what happened. See, we talked about. See, it was the Costco guys now that took him out. You see this? Costco guys took him out. This deserves a doc. Let's pay our respects to the Salamanca. Big Boom AJ. He's entered the studio. Hold on. He's back. There he is. Oh, wow. That was quick.
He got me.
That was quick. But yeah, they gave you a doom, bro. I'm sorry.
Well, at least this time I recognized it right away.
Yes, he had it in the back of his mind what was going on. So he fixed that immediately. So, yeah. I was going to say they have Big Boom AJ over here. They know how to long-term book this and get this out there weeks in advance. But, for the normal show, they don't know what to do. So
yeah.
Crown Jewel. We'll end with this. We'll quickly go over these preview and predictions here. Start with this one. Saturday, 8 a.m. I am going to venture and watch the show at 8 a.m. I don't know when I am specifically going live.
I thought you said venture. I thought you were going to Australia to watch the show in person.
You can never get me down there. You see the size of the fucking bugs down there, man?
Oh, I've seen the size of the bugs. I've seen the size of some of the creatures down there. Oh, yeah. I'm well aware of it.
Never. I will watch it at 8 a.m. I don't know when I'm going live. I guess we'll both notify the audiences of when we go live individually here. I'm thinking somewhere in the afternoon. It will not be in the nighttime because I'd like to enjoy my Saturday.
All right, so there is an update here from PW Insider. We mentioned earlier I broke in with some news on Kota Ibushi.
Yeah.
He was wrestling or supposed to wrestle Josh Alexander at the Collision tapings tonight. He suffered an injury. They had to wheel him out. According to this, the word making the rounds backstage is that Ibushi suffered a broken femur. Although there has been no official announcement made yet, so that's a bad one.
Oh, man. I don't know, man. I don't know.
I don't know either. I don't even know. It's terrible.
To bring him back after last time we saw him was in that steel cage match at Forbidden Door. He hasn't been on TV once. They put him in a random match with Josh Alexander, and then he gets injured, man. That's just awful. That is just awful timing. I don't know. Oh, well. Another one bites the dust in AEW. I don't know what else to say. He joined the long list of the walking wounded over there. Crown Jewel. Roman Reigns. He's going one-on-one with Bronson Reed. This one now is a rematch from Clash in Paris, which I thought was okay. Crowd was very much into it. Hopefully they will be into this one as well. But the difference here is, Jason, this one is now an Australian street fight. So this is no DQ. I don't know what makes an Australian street fight special than a traditional street fight. They didn't really divulge that information.
I mean, I guess they throw koala bears at each other. I mean, I fucking know. I mean, it's just a street fight, just like every other street fight.
I really got Crocodile Dundee's fucking son out there, man. I don't know. I don't know what the Australian street fight means, but I said this on my Raw review, and I am sticking to this. If WWE wants to eliminate all of the stereotypes that they're safe and they're boring and they're this and that, Roman Reigns beat Bronson Reed clean, and then they put him out in that post-match attack at Clash in Paris. Roman Reigns does not need to win this match. He's basically God. Nothing will affect him. He's immune. He will be in War Games. I'm sure he'll have a nice showing there, and the baby faces will probably end up winning War Games. Bronson Reed needs to win this match. Now, I thought that they'd maybe do Breakker versus Roman here because it's the match that we all want to see, but Bronson Reed's the one from Australia and Braun Breakker is not. I don't know when they do that match. That's the match everybody wants, but I even said if Reed wins here and then they do Breakker and Roman, you could have Breakker beat Roman too. And then maybe that leads into War Games. Maybe they do that at the Saturday night's main event coming up at the beginning of November. Regardless, I think Bronson Reed needs to win. Do I think he's going to win? Yes, I'm sticking with my choice. I'm going Bronson Reed.
Well, I mean, Bronson Reed should be the winner of this match. That's very different than them necessarily actually doing that. But my pick is Bronson Reed because they've already beaten him once, and I think it would be a big mistake to do that twice. And you're going into a War Games match where I think it's very likely the vision is going to be on one side, and I think you want to try to keep them as strong as possible going into that match.
Yeah.
So Bronson Reed winning is the right choice in this situation. They kind of swerved us because everything they were saying, and they were really focusing on how he stretchered Roman out. They stretchered Roman out. And I thought they were going to announce a stretcher match.
Yes.
And then out of nowhere, they come out with this Australian street fight. I'm like, okay. It's like a match that he's undefeated in. I'm like, is he known for this? I've never heard of such a thing, that he's had all these Australian street fights before. So that was a bit of a swerve, but what it does, because the stretcher match would have also been a way to protect Roman from having to take a pinfall loss.
Yes.
In this case, someone has to be pinned. It is a street fight, which means there's no rules. And if the Usos are not there to protect him, then maybe Braun Breakker gets involved. He wasn't even on the show on Monday. So I'm going with Bronson. I think that's the right choice. Roman is just bulletproof. You know, he loses nothing by losing this match, especially if Breakker gets involved. For him to go in there and just beat him twice, what a loser he would look like if that happens.
Yeah.
So it's got to be Reed.
Yeah, I said the same thing on Monday. You reiterated that here today. The vision needs to be as powerful and as strong going into War Games. I would not have them lose a match from this point on. Completely. So we're both going Bronson Reed. Someone, I don't know where, I think someone in my chat said that they heard this match was going to main event. It's not main eventing. It's going to open the show. Roman Reigns and Bronson Reed is not main eventing this show.
Well, you know what? I could see John Cena and AJ Styles opening the show. And then you put this match in the middle. Because I was, on my end, I was talking about how I would have the match order and what I think it could be. And I could see Cena AJ opening and then doing the women's Crown Jewel match and then having the Roman match in the middle. And then you have the men's Crown Jewel at the end.
Yeah, that works. Usually Roman opens or closes. So it's going to be interesting what they do. So, Bronson Reed, Roman Reigns, we're going Bronson Reed. Rhea Ripley and Io Sky, they are wrestling the Kabuki Warriors, Asuka and Kairi Sane. This has largely been one of the better things on Monday Night Raw for a good stretch here, at least the last 2 months. Asuka finally has turned to the dark side. Evil Asuka is great television. I think she just plays it so much better than being a babyface. It's just so much more believable. You know, in so many ways, Kairi is benefiting, in my opinion, from this. Aside from the just subpar acting here from all involved, Kyrie is playing a very good sympathetic figure here because Asuka is indeed bullying her, and it's just very relatable. Rhea Ripley and Io also very relatable. They are friends, but they also have the same thing in mind. They both want the world championship. What happened?
Are you bullied off?
No, I was no, I'm not bullied often. No.
Oh, okay. You said it was very relatable. So
to the audience, they might have been bullied in school.
I
yes,
see.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
But not you.
Have I had my Braves hat taken a few times in grade school? Sure. Yeah. Tossed around the classroom.
They didn't hang you upside down to shake the lunch money out of your pockets?
No, I wasn't that. I wasn't that bullied. No.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Ripley and Io, friends, but also want the same thing. They want to get back to the world championship, obviously. This one's a tough one to call, Jason. I feel like the Kabuki Warriors need to win this, but Rhea Ripley in Australia, I just can't see her losing in her hometown, so I'm going to go with the baby faces here. And I think we get Io versus Asuka at Saturday night's main event.
Yeah, I think that would be the way to go.
Yeah.
And I don't see Rhea losing in Australia. And I think also you've got, Reed as the heel. If he wins in his match with Roman, you got the heel go over there. Here you could have the baby faces go over. And as soon as the match is over, and Kyrie could be the one to take the losing fall. And when the match is over, Asuka could just miss Io in the face again.
Yeah.
And immediately gets her heat back, and it sets up the singles match between the two of them.
Yep. I like it. Stephanie Vaquer, she's the Raw Women's Champion. She's going one-on-one with Tiffany Stratton, who is the SmackDown WWE Women's Champion. We had a contract signing on Friday, which was one of the most dull contract signings in the history of mankind on Friday. Awful. I don't know who produced that segment, but clearly the excitement was not on the list of priorities there.
Donkey dog. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Stephanie Vaquer is going to win this because if you watch the show, WWE has made a big deal and a big thing about Tiffany being undefeated since the beginning of 2025. So they're clearly setting up Stephanie, ending that. And I think the rocket is strapped to Stephanie Vaquer, and she's going to beat Tiffany Stratton and win the Crown Jewel Women's Championship this year. As if anybody cares.
Yeah, nobody cares. Nobody cares about the big gaudy belts. We'll get to that when we talk about the men's match.
Yep.
I have Stephanie winning here. Again, there's been a renewed focus of late of specifically mentioning the fact that Tiffany has been undefeated this whole year. I think she's even mentioned it herself. And honestly, this is one of those matches where it could go either way. And I don't really think it makes much of a difference either way. But I think Stephanie's taking it.
Yeah, Tiffany needs a good showing here. Stephanie's the right opponent for that, coming out of that triple threat match with Nia and Jade Cargill. She needs to kind of bounce back from that and kind of wash the bad taste out of everybody's mouth there. But I think this one's going to be a banger, and Stephanie's going to win.
Street Fighter in the chat says, Stephanie heel turn? No. Stephanie, if anybody is going heel in this match, it ain't Stephanie.
No, that's let's get her to a point where we actually where the fans are invested in her, then we can turn her heel. I'm going to talk about this one before we get to the Cody and Seth Rollins stuff, because there is news on this one. John Cena, AJ Styles, a match that was born on social media, and Triple H, like Jason said last week, came in on his white horse and saved the day from the terrible ratings that ESPN gave us, and he gave us a match thinking that the fans had anything to do with it. But I hope that this was the plan from the very beginning and not just something that randomly came about because of a C grade from ESPN. We got John Cena, AJ Styles. Now, the history speaks for itself. There really hasn't been much done on television outside of, going over what the match has meant to both of them in their histories together, which is great. AJ on Raw says that this match is going to kick ass and they're going to leave everything in the ring on Saturday morning, Saturday afternoon. But the news about John Cena still revolves around who his final opponent will be. Now, there was news on this week. And multiple sources over the last 2 days, it's coming from Dave Meltzer, by the way, have confirmed the name, and the WWE internal listing for the Saturday night main event at this point lists that as the only match on the show, John Cena's final match. Meltzer wrote, 2 sources have confirmed that the latest plan is for a tournament to be announced, possibly on the air by Paul Levesque, with top wrestlers vying to be John Cena's last opponent. But multiple have confirmed, however, it reaches the conclusion that Gunther is the person chosen for the match. Now, tournament is an obviously interesting aspect, Jason, because, that just makes, to me anyway, makes John Cena's final match all that more prestigious because it's one and done and you're never going to get another one. So I actually quite like it. Who's going to fight for the right to wrestle John Cena? Instead of it just being someone that they randomly choose and Cena hasn't been making TV and they just have the match and it's over with. I like the fact that they're making TV out of it.
Yeah, it's more who is going to be the one to win the right to retire John Cena.
Yes.
Right. That's the real hook, especially if you're like a Gunther, like, oh,
yeah,
you know, I've done it before, I'll do it again. You know, that sort of thing. So it's not a bad idea. Again, it would certainly add something tangible on the line to some television matches for a few weeks in the lead up to that show. So it's not a bad idea. And then you get into like who's in the tournament.
Yeah.
Do they open it up to people across the board? Right? Is it I would imagine it would be a cross-branded tournament with talent from Raw and SmackDown.
Yeah, I have 4 names here listed from each brand. I figured we have fun with this before we get into who we think is going to win and then get into Cody and Seth here. Gunther's in it. If Gunther is the final guy, obviously he's going to be in the tournament. And according to what Dave says, he's going to end up winning the tournament. So how do we get there? On Raw, I would have Gunther, Sheamus, Rusev, and it's a toss-up. I don't know when Dragunov is coming back. I plugged Dragunov in there because I just have this thing about a Dragunov-Gunther thing I want to see play out. I think that's a great building block, a great starting point for them. If not Dragunov, who has nothing to do with John Cena, by the way. I'm just being selfish because I want to see him and Sheamus or him and Gunther. Dominic Mysterio would be in there. On SmackDown, Drew McIntyre, Jacob Fatu, and it really got a little cloudy to pick another 2 on the show. So I put Miz and Carmelo Hayes in there because it's just story that we're seeing on television. Maybe it plays out in the tournament.
No, that's actually smart because I don't know if you saw John Cena, the photo he posted today. I think it was today on Instagram.
No, I didn't see it.
He posted a photo of the Miz. Oh, okay. Now, how do I say this nicely?
The Miz deserves an opportunity to at least try, but he doesn't deserve the final spot.
He does not belong in a match with John Cena when
Yes.
John Cena has like 3 fucking matches left.
Yes.
Okay. And I also think like I can't believe that there are actually people. These people had to have been born in like 2010. Okay, because there really people right now that are out there that hear that or see Cena post something like that and they're like excited to see a Cena Miz match.
They're bots, bro.
I just can't believe these are actual human beings.
They're definitely bots.
Genuinely excited to see this. I just can't imagine. So, but it's smart though, having him in the tournament because then he could cut promos on Cena and tease the idea that I've beaten John Cena in the main event of WrestleMania. And now I'm going to go in there and I'm going to retire John Cena, right? All the history between them.
Oh.
But then he falls short and doesn't actually win. I'm okay with that.
You know why he posted it in the chat? I had to look it up if it's true. It actually is true. Today is the Mrs. birthday. October 8th.
Happy birthday. Well, is he really? I didn't know his birthday was 2 days after mine.
Yeah. October 8th. Maybe he won't be in the tournament after all, and we can just plug him in with somebody else.
I don't have an issue with him being in the tournament. He absolutely, positively should not win the tournament. Him being in the tournament with Melo actually kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
And you could have Jacob and Drew, and maybe they even go to a draw or something like that. So I like the names that you mentioned there. I think that makes a lot of sense. Dragunov doesn't make any sense. So, I mean, I know that you want to see him and all that, and we'll see him at some point, but he does not belong in this tournament. I like Rusev in there, Sheamus in there, because they both have history with Cena.
Yeah.
You know, Rusev and Cena was a WrestleMania match many years ago. Sheamus and Cena have a lot of history. If not Dragunov, Dom being in that spot, I like that. See, the thing is, though, like I would do a Dom Cena match probably on that Boston Raw. Like either Boston or the Garden. I think Cena needs to be wrestling on one or both of those shows. Like he wrestled Sammy on SmackDown that time. And I think you could do Cena and Dom in a Raw match.
Well, if that's the case, maybe we put Braun Breaker in the tournament and just kind of have a soft build for whatever's going to happen in War Games. Because I think obviously Vision's going to be there, and I think Cena's going to be a part of War Games too.
Yeah, but this tournament, we don't know that this tournament is necessarily going to take place before Survivor Series. Like Survivor Series is November 29th. Saturday night's main event is 2 weeks later.
Yeah.
So you can play this out on television in between those two shows.
Yeah, you could, yeah. Yeah, we'll see what happens. But those are the names I came up with. That's exactly the mindset I had is who right now has not had a match with Cena, but he's also had history with. So we'll see what happens. I do very much like the idea of a tournament, for sure. John Cena's going to win, I'm assuming. You're going with John Cena here?
Yes.
Okay. I think this may be the best match of the night, given the fact that they will probably have a blank canvas to create whatever they want. And 20-plus minutes, I think we're going to get John Cena that we got against Sami Zayn, Cody Rhodes, Logan Paul. I think Cena's going to turn out a banger.
And it's the rubber match between them because they each have 2 wins over the other.
Yeah.
So whoever wins this match will win the series between them.
There you go. Definitely looking forward to that. Reason to wake up and watch this show. Definitely one of the reasons. The other reason is this match. Cody Rhodes and Seth Rollins. Cody Rhodes, obviously the WWE champion. Rollins, the world's heavyweight champion. Neither title on the line. Crown Jewel championships are on the line here. Cody won it last year over Gunther, and Liv Morgan won it over Nia Jax last year. I don't think Cody's going to win this, Jason. It doesn't make sense for Cody to win this. I know there's a pocket of people that think Cody's going to win this, and Rollins is going to further deteriorate mentally because Cody has basically owned him here with the mental mind games. Seth Rollins needs to win this. He's making a big deal about, Paul, I got to beat him. I got to beat him. And then that segment last Monday, this past Monday with Heyman and Rollins was tremendous television. I enjoyed that probably more than any other portion of Monday Night Raw just because of the story here between Seth and Cody, and then the tension between Heyman and Rollins, who really is running the vision. Cody said Heyman's running the vision because who allowed him to walk Brock Lesnar out to the ring and announce him against John Cena at WrestlePalooza? And Rollins is like, no, it's me. I make the decisions. No, you don't. Paul Heyman's the one running the ship here in the vision. And then he's looking at the watch. He's basically out there telling Cody, I didn't want to help you at WrestleMania. You were just the lesser of two evils. And I only did it because we needed to get rid of Roman. But Rollins has always made it a point that he's the guy, he's the captain, the quarterback, whichever term he wants to use. And he feels like he should be in that Cody spot. And he doesn't understand why Cody's the guy and he's not. And he's also had to live in the shadow of Roman Reigns, which that's going to anger him more than anything, which is why Paul Heyman brought up Roman Reigns. And Heyman conveniently said, well, if you lose, you're going to make me really question why I left Roman Reigns to join you. And that just completely snapped Seth Rollins into anger. I'm going with Rollins. I don't know how we get there. It's not going to be clean. Is there going to be a new member of the Vision? Is Drew McIntyre going to show up and continue his feud with Cody? Is that going to be a little tease as we get into War Games? Is Lesnar going to be there? That's a long shot. I brought that up last week here on TNT. Or is it going to happen clean? There's 4 open ways to go about it. I don't know which one they go with, but I'm going with Seth Rollins here, and I'm leaning towards somebody interfering here. I want to say Lesnar, but I don't think they're going to use Lesnar for this, but I could see either Drew or a new member. I don't know who that would be, though, but Rollins is going to end up getting the W.
Yeah, Rollins has to win.
Yeah.
I mean, Rollins has lost at every turn to Cody, and Cody has gotten under his skin. He's gotten in his head. So this is a must-win. Plus, Cody won the Crown Jewel belt last year. I don't see him repeating again this year. And my point that I made earlier about keeping Bronson Reed strong, if you're going to have the Vision in War Games, and we don't know that they'll be in War Games, but we assume they will be, you got to keep him strong. And Rollins went in there. He lost his match at WrestlePalooza. Cody won his. So all signs point to Rollins winning the match. I think it's far more likely that a McIntyre would get involved more than a Brock Lesnar. So I could see Drew getting involved in that match, but I don't see it happening clean. I mean, it's possible. I'm not saying it's impossible. I can envision it. I don't see it happening clean, though.
Someone in the chat, Cake brought up in the chat, this is an interesting possibility. How about Jimmy Uso helping Rollins and joining the Vision?
I don't like that.
No.
Jimmy Uso in the Vision?
Yeah.
Who's asking for this?
Well, Cake is clearly asking for it.
I mean, look, I like Cake as much as anybody. But
Jay Uso screws over Cody. Guys, you guys are going way too deep on this one. No, that's not going to happen. Crown Jewel is going to be, on paper, it looks like a great show. I wish they would have added a 6th match, but clearly they're allergic to 6 matches on these PLEs. But
there's always SmackDown on Friday.
I know. Do we add? No, we can't even add Priest and Black because they got a street fight or last man standing match on Friday. Who else do we?
They have a last man standing match on Friday, and they have the Sami Zayn Open Challenge on Friday, and they have Julia and Kiana James against Tiffany and Stephanie. Can they coexist?
It's fucking ridiculous. I'd have another open challenge. I would do the open challenge on Saturday instead of doing it on Friday. That's just me.
Well, they're doing it on Friday, so you're shit out of luck.
Whoever it's going to be. We'll see. But that is Crown Jewel Saturday. We'll keep you guys posted on when we're going live. 8 a.m. start time for Crown Jewel. Looks like a good card on paper. Hopefully they deliver more than a C rating. Hopefully ESPN is a little bit more pleased with what they do, because they can ill afford to have another terrible rating, which everybody blows up on social media. Triple H is not going to be a very happy guy. Anyway, that is everything we got, man. Thank you for a great show tonight. We had a great turnout tonight for a slow pro wrestling product right now. Over 2,400 people and almost 2,500 people tonight. So thank you guys very much. We are literally 100 likes away from 1,000 likes. Can we get there? If you guys enjoyed TNT, or if you didn't enjoy TNT, it doesn't matter. Leave us a rating down below. Helps us out tremendously. Super chats are open. Get them on in. We're going to hang out in just a little bit here. And please go follow Jason on social media and on YouTube. Everything you need for him is linked down below in the description. Let's get into this here. We'll start at the top, as YouTube is glitching out on me, per usual. I can't even see the super chats.
And remember, the PLEs now are no longer on Peacock.
Yes.
The NXT ones are, but the PLEs are not on Peacock. So you either need your ESPN Unlimited or get that VPN handy.
There you go. Michael Krause. We'll start with Michael. $2 super chat. JD Jason OTS. Thank you for TNT. Let's go. Yeah. Thank you, Michael.
Thank you, Michael.
Nate, coming to us from Australia with a $2 super chat. Watching NXT made me sad. We never got a SS tag match. An SS tag match? Survivor
Series?
There was 2 of them. What more do you want? They were elimination.
Is he talking about the show from last night?
I guess so. Nate, what show did you watch, brother? NXT from last year, 2024, or last night? Which one? Bossmo Jackson with a $20 super chat. Thank you, brother. Last night I sent a TNT shout out. Didn't realize it was Tuesday. I got my day and streams mixed up. I literally thought today was Thursday and yesterday was Wednesday. I forget. I move too fast and get confused, but I'm here. 2 thumbs up. Well, thank you, brother.
I mean, it comes with old age. So, I mean, it
does.
It happens to all of us. I just want to mention a tweet that I just saw from Paul Heyman.
Uh-oh.
I don't know. Did Strowman make any comments about him recently in any interviews that he did?
Not that I'm aware.
All right. Well, anyway, this says, Dear Mr. Strowman, your post was brought to my attention. I have nothing negative to say about you, nor to you, nor to you, sir. In fact, I am actually relieved and indeed celebratory to learn that you're still alive, something that most of us didn't realize and even fewer cared about. With love and respect, Paul Heyman.
Wow. Well, he didn't have to go that visceral there, but...
I need to know what Strowman said about him now. He said a post. Let me see if there's a social media post.
I would assume Paul Heyman does not want to see Strowman play Jason Voorhees, huh?
Maybe that's what it's about?
I don't know. Bossmo Jackson. Well, Jason finds what Strowman potentially had said to Paul Heyman. Bossmo Jackson, thank you, brother. Tony Khan, Slong, Universe 293 Ass Eater with a 199.
What the fuck?
NY from JD and Off Sound Monster Solo TNT Pal. Well, thank you, Tony Khan, Slong. Appreciate you, brother.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing Strowman actually posted 4 minutes before Heyman did, but he didn't mention Heyman. He just is plugging his new food show that's debuting in a few weeks.
CEO Jordan says Braun called him Oswald Cobblepot.
Oh, yeah. That's actually fucking hilarious.
When did he say that, man? When
did he say that? That's actually, it's not untrue. I mean, you know, the waddle and everything.
That's funny, man.
That's hilarious.
Michelle with a $5 super chat. Would there be a difference in booking Seth if he beats Cody clean versus getting help to beat him? Any chance Cody winds up on Seth's team at War Games? No. He's not going to turn heel. Will there be any difference in booking Seth if he beats Cody clean?
No, not really. It could just, be a case where he kind of exorcised the demons and he got that win and there's a new respect between them. But I just don't see what purpose that serves.
No. I'd love to see Cody go heel. If they wanted to really throw a wrench into the safe aspect of the show, I mean...
All right, so then let's game that out. You would like to see them turn Cody heel right now. Let's say they do that. Now, Cody, mind you, is the top babyface on SmackDown. So is the idea that Cody goes heel and the new top babyface is Jacob Fatu, or do you move somebody over from the other show?
I would probably move Punk over to SmackDown. Have him win the Royal Rumble.
Seth?
Yeah. Get him away from Seth. Have him win the Royal Rumble. Move him over to SmackDown and have babyface Cody versus heel, or babyface Punk versus heel Cody at WrestleMania.
WrestleMania? Yeah. I can get behind that.
Yeah. I mean, it's unlikely, but that's the match I'm looking for. I can't take another Rollins and Punk match. I don't know when they do it, or when they do it, why anybody would care, and what the result would be. Because does Punk win the World's Heavyweight Championship? He would almost have to if that's the case. No.
Yeah, but I don't want to drag this out until April.
Yeah, me neither.
Like I'm done with the Punk and the Rollins stuff. I'm over it. Punk and Cody is more intriguing to me because they've teased it before and they've done some promo work together, and I actually think that could be a really compelling match.
Yeah, if they want to get that feeling back from what they had 2 years ago in Philadelphia, Cody and Punk is the way to go. And then you do Rollins and Roman at WrestleMania. Boom, right there. Hidden Network with a super chat. Two of the best in the IWC. Fire emoji. OTS for life. Thank you, Hidden Network. I appreciate you, brother. Boss Mo Jackson with 199. Which was the worst year for WWE, 1995 or 2007?
1995.
Yes, 95 was fucking awful. Adam,
don't you remember the Goon?
Yes, I do.
He used to come out on skates.
Yeah, we talked about this. It might have been Boss Mo Jackson who asked this a few weeks ago. When you have a SummerSlam and Barry Horowitz is on your SummerSlam card, you know it's a bad year.
When you have a SummerSlam card with Barry Horowitz on the show and Mabel in the main event challenging for the World Championship, I think that says it all right there.
My God. Adam J. And I didn't mind the Men on a Mission tag team, but Mabel is a solo? No, thank you. Adam JD519 with 19 months. Happy Wednesday, TNT, everybody. JD and Solid Monster, best of the best. Keep doing the thing. Hashtag TNT, hashtag OTS, hashtag Solid Monster. Sounds off. Thank you, Adam.
Thank you, man.
Trey the Trillist, 30 months. Hey, JG, just popping in. I'm seeing 3 Days Grace and Breaking Benjamin tonight. I'm pumped for the new Alter Bridge album. Yeah, they just released their second single, What Lies Within, today. Very, I would say, a mixture of the Blackbird album sound mixed with AB3, which is their third album. I think they're getting back to their roots, man. So, good stuff there. I am not a fan of either band you are going to see, but have fun. Boss Mo Jackson with a 499. Every time I attempt to watch AEW, I sing the words, I don't even know why I try anymore. I've tried. I really have, but it's a no for me and quick exit. Yeah, a lot of people feel that way, bro. It's very difficult to watch week to week now. Sidro with a $10 super chat. I accidentally drank some straight food coloring. I'm doing okay, but I feel like I died a little on the inside. And what does Arnold Schwarzenegger call a colonoscopy? A Cameron Diaz. What does that mean?
I don't know.
A Cameron Diaz?
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yes. Camera in the ass. When you need to explain it, though, it's like.
Yeah. Thank you, Sidra. I hope you're doing well, buddy.
I feel like that's one that I would need to like see how it's written to really get the full effect.
Summit Hussein with 41 months. He says, hello. Hello.
What's his name?
Summit Hussein.
Okay.
Yeah. Sidro with a 10. I love telling cheesy jokes, cheese emoji, but my friends are lactose intolerant. And most dentists won't work on a grizzly unless it has been given a strong anesthetic. There's safety in numb bears.
These are not hitting.
Yeah, Sidro. Gotta do better, buddy. Lenin Jimenez with a 20 Mexican pesos. He wants the Solomons to wave his hands in the air and sing Jack Perry's theme song.
I'm not going to sing the song, but I can wave my hands in the air like this. This is what Joe Hendry does.
I know.
Same thing.
Yeah, they throw beach balls with Jurassic Express now coming out. They got their own. They got their own yeet thing now. They could.
Oh yeah, because that's just what we need to encourage more of again. The beach balls being thrown into the ring during matches.
Sidro with a 10. I've heard icy is the easiest word to spell. Looking at it now, I see why. A student asked his teacher, Miss Taiwan, is that really your last name? She said, actually, that's my maid-in name. No, not hitting, brother. Not hitting. Duff has entered the chat here. We got a $4.99 from him. We'll get to him in a little bit. Boss Mo Jax with a $4.99. What do you call it when Yoda looks into the camera and talks to the viewers? Breaking the force wall. Well, you guys are a tough crowd tonight, man. Not doing it. Sidro with a 5. What superpower do you get when you become a parent? Supervision. The recipe said to add time. Long story short, I wasn't expecting to eat seconds. True crime unleashed. Well,
these are
brutal out here.
This is the Sidro, or did somebody hijack his account? I'm a little worried about him.
Sidro's been abducted, man. What's going on?
He was hitting it last night. What's going on, man?
True Crime Unleashed for the 5. Cross and Scarlett were asked by CVV if what was going on is to work. All Scarlett says was, we're telling on the indies while evading the question. Yeah, it wasn't a work. It wasn't a work. They're good as gone. Could have been conceived as a work, but...
Oh, yeah, that's right. I forgot to mention this. Did you pick up on one of the celebrity appearances on Raw Monday night when they were showing people in the crowd?
Was it a NASCAR fellow that I don't know?
No. As a matter of fact, they were promoting the Professional Bull Riding League because TKO owns PBR. So, of course, we got to promote this shit now on WWE. But they had a professional bull rider with like the best, it's like the perfect wrestling name. His name, apparently this is his real name too. It's Rocker Steiner.
Huh.
That's his name.
Well,
but that's not what I noticed though. What I noticed was his title underneath his name. And apparently he is a world champion bareback rider.
Interesting.
Now, I didn't know that they gave out championships for this. I lost my shit for a good 5 minutes after I saw this. Yeah, I mean, apparently that's a thing, I guess. I feel bad for the horse, but I mean, apparently that's a real thing. So, Rocker Steiner.
Imagine going out on a date, bro, and she asks what you're doing, and she's like, "Yeah, I'm a world-class bareback champion."
I don't think you're going to get a second date.
No, the date's up. She gets up from dinner and walks away, and you're stuck with the bill. That's what happens there.
I think she goes to the front and like complain and says to the maitre d', "Can you help me? I think I'm in trouble." I think is what she said.
No, I didn't see any of this, man. I got up and made a coffee. I got up and made a coffee, bro. I don't what. Who gives a shit about a fucking bull rider? Oh man.
Like the best part of Raw. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. I go, how is this real?
I don't know. I think they need to stay away from promoting the bull riding, man. I don't think this is the great crossover audience they think it is.
I don't think the wrestling fans were watching the show wanting to see the professional barebackers, but I mean, I could be wrong about that.
Rilo in the chat says he was Rookie of the Year as well, Solo. Oh, really?
Apparently he's very good at what he does.
Yes, I guess so. Cake with a 2. Thoughts on Tiffany surpassing Bianca's reign? When Bianca comes back, we know who's ending Tiffany's reign. True Crime Unleashed with a 5. JD Solo, your thoughts if JC Jane will ever get a call-up? She's been in NXT since 2021, or is she forever in NXT? If you're asking if I have an interest personally to see JC Jane on the main roster, the answer is no. I don't know what
do I think she'll be called up? Yes. I think at some point she'll be called up. It would be amazing to me that they have JC Jane as the NXT Women's Champion, and then they just release her without her ever making a single appearance on the main roster. Yeah. So I'm sure at some point she will make her way up.
Yeah, it would honestly be a black eye for the creative or the performance center down there. She's been down there so long, and then all of a sudden doesn't get a call up. Like, what's the point?
Yeah, Shawn Michaels would be very offended, I think, by that.
Tay with a 199. Worst heel turn fumble, John Cena or The New Day? John Cena.
John Cena.
Lord with a 5. If you could give Stephanie Vaquer and LA Knight new finishers, what would they be? From all top stars, their look is the weakest to me. Hails from Croatia. Well, thank you, Lord.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Lord. That's better. That little punchline there was better than any of the Sidro jokes. Sidro, you gotta catch up, brother.
Yeah, I know.
What was I gonna say? Oh yeah, so LA Knight. I actually think that LA Knight should adopt the Burning Hammer as his new finish.
I like that. I don't like Stephanie Vaquer's finish. The SVB, I think it's weak, and it's the weakest part of her game. I don't know what she would do differently, but I think the name sucks, and I think the move is just as sucky. So, Boss Mo Jackson with a 199. I'd like to see a Josh Briggs or Javon Evans NXT title run. Javon Evans, yes. Josh Briggs, I'm not there yet. I'm not even there on Javon Evans, but I could see him taking the title from Ricky Saints. Also, 499. LA Knight should use the stunner as a finish. It fits his character more. More than.
I won't have the comparisons now between him and Stone Cold that people are already making.
We'll give him the stunner and then give him the fucking rock bottom as his setup move. Yeah, sure.
Let's give him the stunner and then he'll shake his head like this and flip the guy off. Why do we do that?
He says it fits his character more than the one he has. He's the Kmart version of Stone Cold anyway.
And that's the bottom line because LA Knight said so.
Yes.
Then you end with, there you go. And that's what it'll be. That's the new tagline there.
Arcade the Hedgehog with a 2. You didn't read my super chat yesterday, JD. I'm sorry, man. I don't know how I missed it. I'm not really getting many to come in anyway. I don't know how I missed it, but I apologize. YouTube definitely does have a tendency not to send all of them through. So, Sidro with a 5. The USPS issued White Sox commemorative stamps, but had to stop the promotion because fans were spitting on the wrong side. I find that to be comical just because of the hatred between the Cubs and the White Sox fans. The same city, but two different teams. Ryan Awesome with a 999. How far do you think Brody Lee would have gone if he hadn't died? Would he have become AEW World Champion? And do you think he would have gone back to WWE? Yes, on both. I do think he would have become AEW Champion. Yeah.
I don't think he would have become the AEW World Champion. I think, the TNT title, I think he would have eventually gotten that back. I think he would have always been sort of in that mix, that sort of upper mid-card / main event mix. And as far as would he have gone back to WWE, that's an interesting question. I think eventually we probably would have seen him back there. I think he would have spent a while in AEW, though, but eventually, very few people will stay in one place for too long.
Yeah. Yeah, I think especially if he was still around here and Wyndham had passed away, I think he would have absolutely went and kind of been a part of that whole family there and work with the Wyatt Six for sure. I think so. Ryan, thank you, brother. Chris Lloyd with a 5. Julia, Sol Ruka, Jada Parker, Alba Fire, Tatum Paxley, Lyra, Fallon Henley, Candice LeRae, SmackDown mid-card, and give them stories that we would care about. Listen, man, that's a lot of great talent there. A lot of promising talent there. You can't call everybody up at the same time. I think Jada deserves a run with the NXT Women's Championship. Tatum Paxley, I don't know if she'll ever get there, but I do think that she could be a character set for the main roster. I don't know if she's actually, as far as in-ring, good enough. Fallon Henley, I think, is there. And Sol Ruka is definitely there. But yeah, I like that. They need fresh faces. That's what Jason and I talked about earlier. They need something fresh on that show. And the women's division is the backbone of NXT right now. So to bring it on equal level to Monday Night Raw, they need to do something. Hannah with a $4.99. Solo, thanks for hitting the wrong button last night. That was gold. Hope you are both enjoying spooky season.
Thank you, Hannah. Yeah, Sidro had a joke last night, and I have a thing where, it's like booing the person off the stage. And I hit the wrong button. It was Cody Rhodes telling The Rock to go fuck himself. I was like, no, I didn't mean to do that. It wasn't that bad.
Paul David with a new membership and a $5 super chat. Looks like our Yankees are going home. Yes, the Yankees lost, and the Blue Jays are in the next round. Now you can go down to Cancun with the Braves and the Mets. It's a great time down there. Okay, the Hedgehog with a 2. But Solomonster, what's the true sweet spot?
Well, only some of us know what the true sweet spot is. I don't want to give away any secrets here.
I don't want to know.
I certainly don't want Rocker Steiner to know what the sweet spot is.
No. D Bastardo, what's up, brother? $5 super chat. Don't know who's more gullible, the AW fans or Solomonster and the Met fans. And when are we finally doing something right that's by accident? I don't know. Is Solomonster a gullible Met fan? I think he's pretty realistic on what happens with the Mets.
I think I know exactly what's going to happen before it happens.
AEW fans, I'm going to take in that instance, man. Thank you. Hollywood guy with a 2. Give the IC title to Santos Escobar. He needs this. Does Monday Night Raw need him? I think SmackDown could use all the help they can get. I think he goes back to Friday night. Jason with a $4.99. Jason Correa with a $4.99 and a $1.99. Hey, JD Jason, what's up? Hey, JD, you doing commentary this Friday at Hog? I'm definitely going to be there. Jason, I will not be there. I am hopefully in discussions to return soon. And he says, happy birthday, Solomonster, and many more to you.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Yeah, Hog is this Friday. Great card. Probably one of the best cards they put on this year for sure. On paper, should deliver. Jason will be there calling the action. So he's got the booth man down for sure. Paul David with a 5. Final score, Blue Jays 5, Yankees 2. Okay. There you go. Good luck to the Blue Jays. They may end up in the World Series. Jason Correa also with a $4.99 here says, hey, JD Jason, I saw The Smashing Machine. I don't think it was a bad movie. Yeah, I want to definitely see it. I just got to make time to see it. Robbie with a $4.99. What's up, guys? What is your favorite Transformers movie? Mine's the first movie and the new animated one. Also, the show called Transformers Prime is great. I don't know, bro. Were you ever a Transformers guy or no?
No, not really. I did see the first movie. I don't think I saw any of the other ones. So for me, it would be the first movie by default.
Yeah.
Which I thought was a good, summer popcorn action movie.
Yeah, I still have it on VHS in the basement. My favorite is the first one. And if I was to mention anything else Transformers related, I was a huge fan of the first season of Beast Wars. Jay Barker with a 20. Jags just did a trade. Jaguars gets CB, cornerback, Greg Newsome, and the Jets get 2026 6th-round pick from the Browns. Browns get CB Tyson Campbell, and the Eagles 2026 7th-round pick from the Jaguars. Well, the Jags are trying to win a championship this year. They're 4-1. I don't know. I low-key am hoping that happens just to see if Triple H sends them a WWE commemorative belt to float around on field with. I don't think that's going to happen, bro.
I think it would be intercepted before it actually makes its way to the team.
Thank you, Jason. I appreciate you, brother. Street Fighter with a 5. I think Monet was supposed to wrestle Blackheart, but she mentioned that she wasn't feeling well. Interesting. Surprised she's not signed to one of the major promotions the way she looks, man. She looks incredible. Michael Krause with a 2. Happy birthday, Jason.
Thank you.
Francis Loop with the 5. The Don Callis family and the Death Riders come across to me as WCW version of the Flock and the Dungeon of Doom, not main event level factions. Yeah, I feel the same way.
The Dungeon of Doom, the Dungeon of Doom couldn't put on matches that the Don Callis family could. They at least have them beat as far as like in-ring ability is concerned, because the Dungeon of Doom is not known for having great wrestling matches back during that run.
Let's see. Francis Loop with a 5. Also here with another 5. So if Willow was still TBS champion, she would have already beaten Jade Cargill's record. Now I think Mercedes deserves a TBS title match. If Willow was still the TBS champion, she would have already beaten Jade Cargill's record? Would she? And Mercedes is the TBS champion. Why does she need a TBS title match?
Yeah, I don't really understand that.
Me neither. Mr. Ruby Dog with a 199 times 2. Alex Riley is John Cena's final opponent, and Becky Lynch is not the man. Nyla Rose is. Oh, well, Ruby Dog, enough with the nonsense there. Number 1. Alex Riley, no, he's not John Cena's final opponent. I don't think anybody even remembers who Alex Riley is if you asked the fan base. Not going to happen. Don Parker with a 10. AJ Styles and John Cena was one of the best wrestling feuds in recent WWE history, in my opinion. I am happy we are getting one final match. Beat up John Cena. TNT, OTS for life. Thank you, Don. I'm looking forward to it. Alex with a 10. Brother JD and Solo, it's all but guaranteed that Jericho is returning to WWE in 2026, question mark. Who would be the most appropriate opponent for him at Mania? AJ or LA Knight? I think he's back. He'll be in the Rumble, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Either one of those guys sounds good, yeah. But like Jason said, I think Jason said a couple weeks ago, now that he mentioned it, I can't get it out of my mind. AJ and Gunther is something I want to see at Mania.
Yeah, I don't really have any interest in running back AJ and Jericho. It's been done before. And if that is really going to be AJ's possible final match, I don't want it to be against Jericho.
Yeah.
LA Knight and Jericho, I think, would actually be a good fit.
James, 1992, the 199. We need more Batman questions for Solo.
I get quite a few of them from my friend Joseph on the streams. He's a huge Batman aficionado. He knows things about Batman and all the movies that, who was going to be cast in this role and everything, and it's amazing how informed he is about that.
Have you watched the latest one yet, or you haven't had time to watch it?
I have not had time yet to watch it. I need to carve out 3 hours to watch it's called The Batman, right?
Yes, The Batman.
Because they were going to, I know there's a second one coming out, but then they announced it's not coming out until like 2027, I think.
Yeah.
So I got time.
Yeah, you got time for sure. Jedi Joke with a 10. Yo, what's up, JD? First things first, go Phillies. LOL. Just trolling, but my Phillies look good tonight. Second, are you or Solo going to be on Battlefield this weekend? I can't wait for Friday. I don't really see Jason as a Battlefield aficionado. I have played the Call of Duty beta. I put many hours into the Call of Duty beta the past week. I hate it. Black Ops 7. I will be on Battlefield as soon as I have some free time this weekend, for sure. I've already purchased it. Duff's Vids. Are the Phillies winning, by the way? I didn't realize they were playing.
I believe they were or they did, yes. Let's see.
I don't like that. That's not good news here. Oh, yeah, the Phillies are winning 8-1.
Yep.
Well, yeah, they're down 0-2, so they needed a win. So there you go. Duff's Vids with a 499. My 12-year-old nephew asked if he could try some coffee. I said, sure, bud. He says, this tastes like dirt. I said, I know. It was ground this morning. That's depending on what coffee you do grind, honestly, it definitely could taste like dirt. So that is riddled with some truth in there. Thank you, Duffs. We the Ones with a 5. The tension we are seeing with the Usos on Raw, we should be getting that with the Street Profits on SmackDown, not some forced BS we've been getting. You are correct, but hopefully with the report that we read earlier, hopefully that means that Road Dogg is going to surround himself with people that know how to tell stories. Because clearly he does not. Francis Loop, $5 super chat. I would start Dynamite with Renee Paquette preparing to interview Alex Windsor in the parking lot. Then she gets jumped by the Pentagon of Madness 5-on-1. that I'm sure will drive away the audience in record numbers. Francis, thank you for the creative vision.
Are they now the Pentagon? They went from the triangle to the Pentagon of Madness. Is that what's happening here?
If they get added to War Game or Blood and Guts, yes.
So with the Pentagon of Madness, does that include Megan Bayne and Penelope Ford?
Indeed.
Okay.
Don Park with the 5 worst match in your opinion: Goldberg versus Lesnar, WrestleMania 20; Hogan versus Nash, finger poke; or Triple H versus Scott Steiner. Holla if you hear me.
I don't count Hogan Nash. That wasn't a real match. I mean, it was an angle more than a match. It was What was the other one? Goldberg and Lesnar, WrestleMania 20.
Yeah.
The worst match, honestly, was Triple H and Scott Steiner. I mean, the Goldberg and Brock match was ruined by the crowd. The match itself, it's been a while since I've seen it. I'm willing to bet as a match, it is not nearly as bad as Triple H and Scott Steiner.
I don't remember Triple H and Scott Steiner. What was so bad about it?
It was not good. It was not good. That was Steiner's first match back in the company when his first match in WWE as like Big Papa Pump. And he just kept suplexing and suplexing and suplexing. And then he fell over and he dropped him and he suplexed him. And it was fucking awful. They did, I think, have a better match, though. They had a rematch, I think, at No Way Out. And I think that match was better. If you remember, that was the pay-per-view where they used Evanescence Bring Me to Life as the official theme song.
Yeah, I miss those days.
Yeah.
At least we know for Survivor Series we're getting War Pigs by Ozzy. So, Don Parker, thank you, brother. James Gendy with a $9.99. What's up, JD and Solid Monster? Were you guys fans of 2.5 Men and King of Queens? Me personally, I watched some of 2.5 Men and none of King of Queens.
I didn't see any of 2.5 Men, and I see the occasional clip from King of Queens on like IG, but I didn't actually watch the show.
Matt Fisher with a $4.99. What did one slice of bread say to the other before the race? Your toast. Duffs, save us, brother. Duffs Viz with a $4.99. I've been having trauma going to the bathroom. I have PPTSD. Duffs, what's going on, brother? You're in the same the ball game as Sidro over here. Francis with a 5, paying homage to the 4 Horsemen jumping Lex Luger after exiting the limousine at Clash of Champions 2, Miami Mayhem in early summer of 1988. Oh, is that what you want Alex Windsor to be attacked by the Pentagon of Madness? You want to relive that? As if we need any more WCW comparisons.
I think you may be the only one, if they do that angle, that would even make that comparison. Because there's nothing on that show I would ever compare to some of those classic Horseman angles in WCW.
Nat Fisher with a $4.99. Why did the electric car feel discriminated against? Because the rules weren't current. Sidro with a 5. My girlfriend saw me buying 2 handguns from a T-Rex and said, "What the hell was that?" I said, "He's my small arms dealer." See, that's a little bit better, man. I like a good T-Rex small arms joke, man. Dubs Viz with a $4.99. I never thought orthopedic shoes would work for me. I now stand corrected. All right, we got it. We got it once tonight, man. There you go. Francis with a 5. Best Arn Anderson spinebuster delivered to Ricky the Dragon Steamboat in War Games on Sunday, May 17th, 1992 at Wrestle War. Best War Games ever.
Wow, he even knows the day of the week. What was the weather that day?
Oh, man. Caden with a $1.99. Give Steph the butterfly lung blower as a finish. Sure, as long as it's impactful. Sidro with a 10. Got fired from the gym because I couldn't bench 30 pounds. Had to put in my... Oh, no. I got fired from the gym because I couldn't bench 30 pounds. He had to put in his 2-week notice.
That was good. That was good. I like that one.
The highway patrol officer pulled me over and took my bottle of tequila. He's now the highway. He's now the highway patron.
Where do they find these?
Oh man! See, all right, you redeem yourself, man. You redeem yourself. Where am I? There he is. Duffs with a $4.99. Want to hear a really bad knock knock joke? Ding dong. Don Parker with the 2.
It's actually very clever if you think about it.
Yeah. Don Parker with the 2. Lumbar check for Stephanie's finisher. Thoughts? Sure. It's a good finish.
Yeah, that could work.
Duff's Viz with a $4.99. What do you call it when Batman gets hurt? Bruised Wayne.
I think we've heard that one before.
We have. Might have been a Sidro joke. Happy birthday, Solo.
Thank you.
Adam JD with a $5 super chat. Prayers to former ECW, WCW, and WWE star Raven. He announced he has early onset Parkinson's.
Well, that's terrible. I'm sorry to hear that. I saw he was on Ariel Helwani's show. I think he might have been talking about his new documentary. And he just started going off on like all these different things about like MMA and everything. Like he's really knowledgeable about it. Like and not just like the top like most well-known names. Ariel was like blown away by this. He's like, wait, you know this guy? You know that guy? You saw this show? He's like, yeah. Like he couldn't believe it. He couldn't believe it. But I knew he had some health issues. Like if you see him in interviews, you could tell sometimes he can be very forgetful about stuff. I did not know about that though. So I'm sorry to hear that.
Bradley Xavier with a 5. To the people who want Vince back, just remember this. Superstar Shakeup, Great Balls of Fire, Thunderdome, Bearcat Lee, Viking Experience, and Shorty G.
You know, for Shorty G and Bearcat Lee alone, like that's I don't need to say anything else. I really don't.
Guy came out wearing a singlet with fucking bear claws in it.
With a bear claw on it.
Oh my God. Francis Loop with a 5. Right now, AEW needs to build for Blood and Guts. I'm hoping the teams are Julia Hart, Sky Blue, Tekla, Megan Bain, and Penelope Ford versus Anna Jay, Tay Mello, Willow, Queen Aminata, and Jamie Hayter. Yes. If there is a women's War Games or Blood and Guts, that's the names right there. Tactical Dish Up with a 5. I asked my friend the other day if he needed a bottle of water because he sounded hoarse. He said, nay. Jabril Mohammed with a $4.99. Me and my peoples attended Brawl Out in the Now Arena. It's so bittersweet to be in person for what turned into the slow death of AEW. You could go back and look at that. They could have corrected that if they wanted to do business. The thing that killed them was airing the Jack Perry footage with CM Punk at All In London. That's what killed him. Tyrus with a $4.99. What do you say to your sister when she's crying? Are you having a crisis? Get it? Crisis?
Yes. Yes, I do.
And Francis Loop went with this one. It's got one on the Don Callis family chat. $5 super chat. You want the Don Callis family to be more legit? Get rid of Andrade, Hechicero, and El Clan and put in Preston Vance and the grizzled young veterans. Send Andrade to LFI. That's not going to make the Don Callis family more legit, Francis.
You're just replacing some existing members with more members.
And Jabril Mohammed with a $4.99. I've been watching you and Jesse's old Dynamite streams at work. Remember when Mox squashed Punk for the title because of Punk's injured foot? Good times. Yeah. And you know what I also missed? The views that those reviews did, too, because AEW was actually exciting. Anyway, thank you guys very much for all of your support. We had a great show tonight. Thank you again. Crown Jewel is this weekend. It's going to be a busy weekend. I know we have Crown Jewel on Saturday and then Bound for Glory. And hopefully Mike Santana's new crowning moment as the TNA World Champion. So I'll be watching And I'm sure we'll discuss that next week on TNT. But thank you guys for a great show as always. And I'm going to leave it up to this guy to sound us off for episode 115.
Well, we got Don Parker coming in.
There you go, $5. Speaking of having Vince back, let us not forget he had a character named BDJ. Yes, Big Dick Johnson. I care never reiterate that name or see him ever again on television.
Yeah, I don't think we really need to speak that into people's minds. I just want to say thank you. I got a lot of birthday messages from people this week, some very nice emails and tweets, and including folks from our TNT family here. So I just want to say thank you very much. I appreciate that.
There you go. We got another 50 likes before we hit 1,000, guys. We still got 2,100 people in here. Can we get another 54 likes before we sign off tonight? I would really appreciate that. Follow us on social media. Everything you need is linked down below. Make sure you guys go check out Jason's channel. He'll be live for Crown Jewel. He'll let you know when. He won't be here Friday for SmackDown because he'll be at the NYC Arena for House of Glory. I'll be live on Friday. You guys can hang out with me on Friday night. And we will see you right back here next Tuesday. Thank God for episode 116 of Tuesday Night Titans. Until then, guys, thank you very much for all your support. Again, please hit that thumbs up and leave us a comment down below. It helps us out tremendously. Thank you for the super chat love. And we will see you all right back here Tuesday night, 8:30 for episode 116 of Tuesday Night Titans. We'll see you guys later.